This episode of Dust War Journals is brought to you on Patreon by our newest patron at the producer level, Loke. Big thanks to you. And if anyone else wants to help out the show, then you can check out patreon.com/dustwarjournals. And now, on with the episode. This is Dust War Journals, episode 22, your number one stop for all news and discussion dust-related. My name is Johannes, and with me today are...
Beretta, Sasaki, Loda in the house!
Yay! And, of course...
And Magnus, known as Magoff or Magwiz on the forums.
And it's been quite an eventful couple of weeks since the last episode, I would have to say. At least there's one specific event that we're going to talk a bit about.
Yeah,
you could say that.
Stuff has been going down.
Oh, yes. It's been a wonderful couple of weeks, I must say. It's but this time of year, it's always wonderful.
Oh, yes. In many different ways, just not only in the world of the game, but in life in general. I mean,
definitely.
It's almost time for our holidays, so we can go be with our families and go travel whatever we want to. But of course, also we had the European Championship in Warsaw, which is usually around this time of year. And well, of us three, it was only you, Luda, who was actually there this year.
Yeah,
unfortunately for us, but
well, I guess perhaps there were some. There was another World Cup or something. I think it's in Russia or something. Perhaps stole some. I don't know why, but I mean, the real World Cup was, of course, or the real championship was in Warsaw, and it was always as great. For me personally, it was almost more of a family trip this time, because how should I put it? Everything went so smooth. The low points of my journey was higher than before. Perhaps some of the high points was a little bit lower, unfortunately. So it was more of a, like a senior trip for me. Almost like it was not as much rock and roll when you guys were with. I think I was lacking you
two.
two.
You were drinking milk instead of vodka this time.
Yeah, too much, I would say. I was sleeping regularly, at least 4 or 5 hours a night. I was eating real food. I didn't get lost in the way and walk through strange parks.
When I hear this, I just feel we have to go next year so we can put these things to rights. This can't stand.
No, definitely. You have to take some responsibility for leaving me. Yeah. They like to say that Sweden is the land of what do you call it? In between milk? No, what do you call it?
The kind of middle of the road.
Where the middle of the road.
Just
everything is just Well, okay. On with the show, please, guys.
And we are definitely going to come back to the tournament and all the stuff that was revealed there. But for right now, let's talk a bit about some news. So first off, some new releases. We've seen some both old stuff re-released and some completely new stuff, and some semi-new stuff. Some old things that have been kind of re-released in a new version or new package or what you want to call it. Let's go through this list kind of chronologically. So first off, for this release, we had the Cthulhu Lamasu statue, and another wonderful piece of scenery from this kind of Cthulhu range. And I have the big one, the previous one, which is the big pillar with the statues on both sides of it. This is just a single kind of freestanding statue, so it's a little bit smaller. But since it is a freestanding statue with individual legs and such, it makes a completely different impact on the table, I think. So I think personally that I definitely want this one.
Oh yeah, it was so hard now, Marek had this special sort of called offer on this one, and a lot of other stuff as well. And I immediately just wanted 2 of these because I wanted, to put them on either side of a bigger one. And but my money was out when I've ordered the Bloidkreuz and the new Russian tank, the 47s, those Plavachuk. Sorry, I'm not I'm still
You're
learning.
you're not fluent in Russian yet.
No, because I've been unfaithful for a while now, and but those tanks are getting me back there.
And you did just get some kind of studying material from me earlier today. So
Yeah, splendid. Johannes just gave me before the episode magazine, totally in Russian, about Russian tanks. Beautiful. It'll keep me awake at the hotel room tomorrow when I'm off working in another town. Unfortunately, I don't know shit what it says, so I'm just, I have to Google Translate or something. I don't know. Or I'll have Magnus read it as a audio file for me, and I can listen to. But no, that would not be good if I do that when I look at the picture.
Right.
Or, no, so we leave that. Sorry, Magnus.
yeah. And speaking of German tanks, that's another of the completely new releases.
Yeah.
The PT-47B tank. So we had before the command vehicle version of this, but now we have the anti-tank with the turret.
First of many.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of different versions of this from what we've heard. And you are, Ludde, basically our SSU player of
Well,
in the group. So what do you think about this?
I first, when I looked at it, I loved this style of it because I've said it before. The HQ wagon is also something that I really like the style. I wish and I hope now that we get more amphibious scenarios, that we play more with water and stuff like that, because I think that could bring a new dimension. When I looked at the PT-47B first and just checked the stats, it was like, but I'm not going to play this. I'll buy one, I put it in the shelf because it's fucking pointless. That's my first reaction. But then I started to think again, and actually it was a few other Swedes who convinced me that, you got 3 dice doing 2 damage against choppers. And if you have then 2 or 3 of these, and you have the command wagon as well, and you have some few more tanks, so you have an all-out tank army. Oh yeah, please come with your flyer against me. We will shoot you to shits in no time. And at the same time, you get your infantry safe. And if you lose 6 points to save your infantry, and then take out a few of the airplanes or choppers coming, this really seems like an interesting bet. You can do it also with the Spetsnaz, but as we joke, the Spetsnaz move much faster than these tanks. If they have a running match, the Spetsnaz are over the board when these guys have passed halfway line. So there's no point if you don't want extra just cover for flight. But of course, steel guards. Put the steel guards in them, and because some people get really problematic when they play the steel guards and can't get to the other opponent. Rush these. The steel guards won't mind if these break. They just keep on walking when they don't feel any difference. These ones would be like the boats for the new Japanese walkers if we go one step further.
Yeah.
And those we talk about those later, but of course it's just the funny thing that the steel guards would use these amphibious things just like the new coming Japanese walkers use their boats shells. Well,
yeah, I have to say I like this a lot as well, actually, even though I don't play the SSU yet, at least. But it's an interesting one, and I think it's priced very correctly. It's cheap enough, so you can have at least 2 in your army, maybe 3, for example. But still, it's not too cheap, so you can't really spam them. Well, you can, but it won't really be worth it. You need something to put in them as well to make them kind of worthwhile. So yeah, I think they are a very good balance, and they give you some very interesting options. Basically, whatever army you play, you can combine these with a lot of different units.
Yeah.
And I think another point, if you just want to put something else than steel guards inside it, is that it is amphibious. That doesn't really make that much difference at the moment, because we don't see very many boards or very many scenarios that use a lot of water. I have a suspicion that will change. I think we're going to see a lot of water in Operation Hellgate. Partly because we are actually seeing a lot of upcoming walkers that are amphibious. And well, why would you need to have that if you don't have a lot of water-based scenarios?
Yeah, that's true.
That's so true.
That's why you want to put your Spetsnaz or your PLA soldiers in it, I think.
Definitely. And the regular army isn't moving that fast, so they get a little movement boost as well. It's always I'm hoping also that someone builds a nice scenario with some roads on as well, because the road bonus hasn't been kicked into effect. And
that's actually true. It seems like the tracked and wheeled rules are just almost totally ignored nowadays compared to how it was back in
the early days.
Dust Tactics version 2, especially, when those kind of things were used more regularly, it seems.
At least in our group over here, we haven't really played with roads that much, and not too many other things that messes with tracked vehicles. Maybe we should change that.
Yeah, I think so. I had a few gridless before the new gridless expansion that came out. Before that, we played a few gridless games with roads, and it was quite fun to all of a sudden just boom away on the road with your... Okay, you only have to go straight, so you don't have the option if you really want to get that extra mile, so to speak. But it was a fun thing, and... Yeah, since my new SSU army now that I put together just as a basic 100 points with the option of a little bit more is only tanks. Since I have now, or I'm soon having, Marek is about to ship me 3 of these more. So I'll have, well, a few tanks coming rolling. I think that could be nice scenery, just seeing my army advancing. But okay, we will see.
All right, next up, the Blutkreuz.
Yeah.
They had 2 new releases. The Army Box, which we talked about previously, and also the new Wotan 2, Model 2, which also has the weapons for making it a Flamluther, and it also has the extra armor, so you can make it the Wotan AR too. So this is basically the exact same model, exact same walker as the old Wotan or Flamluther, but with the addition of an extra machine gun. And, of course, cards for using it as a Blutkreuz model, which is sorely needed. They definitely needed some vehicles.
This is a very good release.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that box, I mean, I don't want to make too much... commercial for people on stuff, but I mean, the Blutkreuz Army box kit, 75 fucking euros. If that isn't a bargain, I'm now at the War Factory homepage, and I'm not doing this to get Marek wet in his pants, but I mean, seriously, you get like friggin' you get at least 2 infantry squads, and you for free in that box, and you get some extra options and stuff like that. I just had to buy one. I'm not actually thinking about playing Blutkreuz, but I can't let that box not be bought.
It's a really good box. I think the only kind of caveat with it is I don't think you get the extra weapon arms for the Flamluther for the Walker in this box. You only quotation marks get the big freaking lasers.
Yeah, that could be a letdown. And on the outside you don't have the extra padding to make it an AR. So of course, if those aren't with, you could get a little bit cranky perhaps, but still, who hasn't at least one Flamluther in his box? So I mean, if you want it,
and that's I still think that these army boxes are mainly used as an kind of starting point for new-ish players. That if you are a completely new player, pick a faction, buy the starter box and buy the army box, and maybe buy the HQ box, and there's your 100-point army right there. So it's a perfect way to get going, and there's some really good units in this box, definitely. That's actually a thought that I had that we should try out sometime. I think use these models because we have these, and could make and try to make the best 100-point armies that we can from these 3 boxes for all the factions, and let them fight. Play those games and see how we do. I think that could be really fun.
Interesting.
And
Let me just say in the same sentence, though, as I said before, if you're into a USMC army box, I can't see that it isn't crazy good value even for the USMC. But since it has the Walker is of lesser quality. I mean, it's lighter version. Sorry, I just feel like it's not. It's actually not as good a price for value.
It is a different type of Walker, which makes it kind of the Walker you get in the USMC army box is more like a Walker that you would run multiple copies of.
Yeah.
Whereas the Walker with the Wotan in the Blutkreuz box, that's basically the centerpiece of a Blutkreuz army.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see where you're coming from there.
Even at the same time, of course, it's a typical USMC Walker, so you don't, you shouldn't. It shouldn't be anyone else. It shouldn't be a bulldog or a 6-shooter. It is the right type of Walker that is in the box, but still, for some reason, then I just feel as you pointed out there, Jonas, very adequately, it's the centerpiece when you see the Wotan.
It's kind of hard not to notice those big lasers.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of unit that, again, forces your opponent to focus on it. And that's the kind of interaction that I enjoy personally.
Yeah.
The USMC starter box, that was, or army box, rather, that was also released in conjunction there. And speaking of the USMC, or rather the Allies, we also had a big kind of release of some older units for all the blocks, but specifically for the Allies, the Cobra and Rattler box, and also the Fireball and Punisher box. So this is a return finally for some of these older units, and a return to the multiple armaments in the same box releases.
Yeah. And the Fireball Punisher one, even if I don't like the big one, it's still tempting, because that Fireball is it just solves so many problems. I'm just feeling nowadays that when we start playing on bigger mats, so you can actually start a maneuver, that Fireball might just be coming someday.
Yeah, that's a centerpiece.
Yes,
definitely. And then you have the Cobra and the Rattler, and I think personally the Cobra is one of my absolute favorite looking Allied Walkers.
Yeah.
With that kind of striding pose and the big phaser turret, and it's kind of lean and it looks like very menacing. But at the same time, it unfortunately we haven't really got it to work when we've played it.
No, definitely. It's gone so far that I like the pose of it, so I keep the legs, but I have it as a hot dog nowadays. But or something else.
Yeah, we talked about this in the last episode, and just maybe sometime in the future it will get some kind of update and will be more tempting.
Yeah. And another point is that the cards that are on the dustgame.com page don't reflect this, but the text still says that you do get the amphibious additions to this Walker, so you can make it into the amphibious version, which I personally think is something that's going to go into the Hellgate expansion, and we'll see. So that maybe is going to be where it will shine. We can just wait and see there. The SSU also got kind of this old but gold release. The ubiquitous KV-47s, the Natalia, Nadia, and Natasha box. This is one that just people have been like scouring stuff like Miniature Market and things that had those old Fantasy Flight Games boxes just to get these Walkers. Yeah. And now they're finally back in stock, and you can get them easily. Because this, if you are running an SSU army, this is more or less the standard Walker.
Yeah, exactly. They are staples, and I would say in most SSU armies, at least one of these are used, and probably multiples of them, like 2, 3, 4 of them.
Yeah, and I always had a special love interest for Natalia, the 2 chainsaw fists. I mean, that's one of my... when you do something with the poses as well, you rearrange it with a little trickery, and it just gets so raw, so rough, so menacing, and I just so love it.
This is definitely one of those walkers that feels kind of like a mobile suit, more than some of the others that just feel more like tanks with legs or stuff like that. This feels more robotic, and that's one of the things I always loved, is that the different factions have so very different aesthetics for their vehicles.
Oh yeah,
and this is a very good example of that.
Yeah, it's just so Russian as well, so it's not just that it's typical, it's I just see Russia when I look at them, so for some,
And also the final release in this kind of category, the Königsluthor and Sturmkönig box. And talking about favorites, I think still that the Sturmkönig is my absolute favorite walker in the game, just from the looks of it. Because it just looks menacing, and it is very, very good on the table. Like, it can damage and just kill anything.
Yeah, they are really beautiful, and they are not used as much, or at least the Königsluthor is not used as much. I know in the beginning when we start playing, every almost Axis player had a Königsluthor on the table, because those guns made people But then the Sturmkönig had started to claw its way into the game, and then nowadays I almost never see a Sturmkönig. I mean Sturmluthor. I mean only Sturmkönigs nowadays. Is it? Well, we got one. Jens is playing the Sturmluthor sometimes.
I think the problem, if you want to say that about the Königsluthor, is that it's maybe a bit too specialized. You invest a lot of points in a big unit that can only really realistically do one thing. It does that thing very, very well, but.
Yeah, but still 12 dice against an infantry 1, it can still it takes 1 infantry squad and 1 vehicle every turn, almost. So I mean, and it's how much is it now? 20 points. It's not like it's your army is not totally. I just feel like it ought to be.
Yeah, but it is a specialized anti-tank vehicle, and basically it's very good even against heavy vehicles.
And I think I think actually the big thing is that it's only one shot, or at least it's at 1 tank with this thing, and the meta, at least at the most games that we have played, are people spamming stuff. If you roll in with like 6 KV-47s, then of course you can kill 1 per turn. But then there's still 5 left. Then you kill another one. Then there's still 4 left, and then they kill you. So,
but do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
They kill me.
Well, I have no problems with KV-47s killing Königsluthors. I think we can establish that as a fact, and everyone hearing this.
I would say it's maybe most because of that the meta is kind of focusing on a lot of infantry, specifically a lot of infantry 1s, I would say. Most armies are fairly infantry heavy, and the Königsluthor can shoot against infantry, but that's a lot of points to use it against infantry. It's
and
so as it is now, but you never know what's going to happen in the future. We have seen some interesting previews, for example. Maybe the Königsluthor is going to get played a lot more.
Probably it will, definitely, when we talk about the previews. And also we have to take into account that we, as Swedes, we play on 2 mats. We have enormous amount of terrain, or at least something. So there's never a clear line of sight to fire more than 4 or 5 squares, let's be honest. So we don't make it easy for people playing the long-barreled, the long guns. So I guess that's one also the reason why we never see so many of those. But perhaps now, if we start to move more against 3 mats, 4 mats perhaps. I basically have an extreme wish. Now I'm going off topic. I'm sorry for playing 4 mats. Actually, because
Maybe try 5.
No, definitely not. And it's just because I'm really starting to see Olivier's point of view about having them, like 2, and you get what we're gonna get. You get 12 by 18. Yeah, so it's almost like one of those classic tabletop.
Why not put the 4 with the short ends just together so you get like, what is it, 9 by 48?
Yeah, well, you do that. Sorry, no, well, and we only play with the long tom then, and observers. That's it. Who shoots the other one's observers first? Yeah. No.
Speaking of kind of specialized units, and we're talking about the metas being full of Soldier 1 infantry. Well, the Mythos just today got a new release that kind of fits this exact spot. It's called the Annihilator, and it's an elite-only dustified kit. The body of this is the Panzer 38, and it's, I think, Dust Studio designed turret. It has a total of 5 machine guns, and it spits out a heck of a lot of bullets. And
but it's worth to point out that rules-wise, 4 of them are considered to fire together as one weapon.
Yeah, the 4 on the turret are kind of all pointed at the
quad
same
machine gun, and it really throws out a lot of dice.
Yeah. Just the quad machine gun is 19 dice, plus you have another machine gun, the one that's mounted in the front of the tank hull, which has another 7, so that's 26 dice for 9 points. So if you want to kill infantry, this is where you go.
Definitely. It's a wonderful little creation. I even more now both hate and love the fucking paint scheme on this one, because it's the same thing as the other ones for the Mythos. It's something extremely interesting and tantalizing, but it's also making me vomit in the same. I don't know. It's
kind of like we say in Sweden, fulsnygg.
Yeah, definitely. It's
both ugly and beautiful at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they are, followers of Cthulhu and others, so probably mission accomplished. Then.
I must say, I think it's cute. I really like this big bulky turret. It makes it look like some kind of I don't know, little fluffy animal with a lot of steel plates attached to it. I don't know. It's something about it. I really like it.
Yeah, and I still, since I'm not that deeply into the Mythos cult, I haven't read about Cthulhu and stuff like that. Perhaps you guys can enlighten me. I still have some problem linking the big monsters with the vehicles. I mean, these armored vehicles and the other vehicles that Mythos is getting. It's no problem for me that they get it. I think they look good, and I think that we can visualize. But why the heck do you have all these tentacles flying, big monster things, and then you have cars? Do you know this? How this mythology? Why is it?
I would say that I don't think the Annihilator tank is in any of Lovecraft's or other Mythos books.
Okay.
So I think this is the Dust version pretty much.
Okay,
and why not?
But the Purifier,
Doesn't
something like that, could that be in the novels?
I don't think so. Not the ones that I read.
It's not really focused on that type of engagements. It's not really action stories in that way. I mean, the original ones.
They are horror stories. So,
okay, good.
But why not?
Yeah,
everything gets better when you add some tanks to it.
Oh yeah,
or some
everything is better with
whatever. Yeah,
absolutely.
So why not?
Yeah, that you said something there, Magnus. The first Mythos Walker. How will that shit look like? That's something that keep you up at night, I tell you.
That's designed and piloted by the creatures. That would be interesting if we ever get something like that. All right, so that was all of the new releases. Oh yeah, I just had to mention this because I thought it was really funny. Thomas Lahochki on Facebook had a really nice kind of comment about this annihilated tank. And he said, okay, 2 questions. 1, where does it get all the ammo so it can fire for more than a minute? 2, where do all the empty ammo cases go?
Yeah,
so maybe there you have some kind of interdimensional portal stuff going on. That's why the turret is so big and bulky, because you have to have room for the interdimensional turrets. The interdimensional portals for all the empty shell casings.
Exactly. I'm sure the mythos, the cultists have solved that problem easily. Just put up some kind of portal in there and everything is fine.
Yeah, because that would rather be a really nice model thing if someone could make just it spewing out ammo from some part of the of this annihilator tank.
Yeah, that could be an interesting kind of kit bash mod for someone to do.
Challenge.
Yeah. All right.
Time for a jingle.
I think so. We haven't really talked about that yet, but if we're going to mention the tournament in Warsaw,
don't mention the war.
No, but we are going to mention some other things, and I think other people are going to mention some things because you brought a microphone with you.
Yeah, you had the nice way to facilitate me with the microphone, and I made the most of it. Unfortunately, this was the first time, and I made some serious beginner faults. I didn't realize there were no chargeable batteries. There were regular batteries, so some interviews got lost. I'm so sorry for this, people. Yeah, all of you who made me interview you was so good in speaking to me on the mic. We had a lot of stuff, though. We had over 4 hours, I think, from Poland. We will try to get some into the program. Some might be coming later. And, it's up to you two guys, actually, Magnus and Johannes, who will decide what's good enough. And,
And we're going to kind of splice in some stuff in the show today, so you people at home can hear it. And we also have an interview specifically with Paolo himself coming up.
Yeah, I realized this when I said before I had... now I'm stuffing my mouth with biscuits right now. I'm sorry, I just thought I talked so much. I should be a little bit quiet.
Just talking about professionalism.
Well, no, just tell me if you feel like a... No, seriously. I had one extreme highlight of the tournament, of course, and I had the privilege to sit down with Paul, as I call him, our own little deity, and he's such a great talker. He just kept on telling me stuff after stuff, and a lot of things I didn't know. We went off track many times, so it was supposed to be about all the new stuff, but it just... We talked about everything from high and low, I would say. We also, of course, had the wonderful privilege to have Olivier joining us after a while. I think Olivier actually just wanted it to stop, but then I put the microphone at Oliver, and he started talking.
You kind of have that way with people. I guess that's where you got the job you got. So.
Right.
So and we realized I just couldn't keep them after a while. I think I don't know how long they sat there and talked to me about stuff. So we had to end it. But boy, I could have spent a couple of days there just recording, and I'm sorry, listeners, I didn't. But I thought, perhaps we get another chance if I just let them go and don't die of fatigue or something like that. And I hope when we release the interviewing material from Paolo and Olivier that you guys will hear things you like, some very new, exciting stuff. Olivier is talking about Hellgate, for instance. But also some interesting anecdotes from Paolo himself about how we met William and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's a lot of cool stuff. But first off, we're going to hear some kind of tidbits from the first day, the Friday before the tournament, I think.
Yeah, I made some interviews with the Vikings when we went to Warsaw, and then I had some interviews with when we were getting to Warsaw the first day, trying to get people's mood, what they're expecting, and stuff like that. And well, yeah, I think that's a good way to start this off.
All right, so let's get over to Warsaw.
So, this is Lotta from the Vikings War Journal sitting in the car now, and I've been joined now on my journey with Mats, with Sarah, and with Jonathan. We're picking up Maurits on the way when we get to Norway. Mats, the Grandmaster himself, has of course already facilitated us with a couple of beers, so the mood is getting better and better on this journey. Yes. Let's see what Mats' ideas about this tournament and his high hopes of it.
What should I say? It should be really fun coming to Warsaw, and I hope my Endak will kick some ass this weekend.
Yeah, you got waves and waves of that Endak army. I mean, it's going to take you at least an hour just to do your first turn, I would say.
No. They are used to fast tempo, and they will do well.
I'm sure they will. I've seen you use the Endak many times before, and there's always been a pleasure watching you fight with them. Let's see if some people in the front seat also wants to say something this time. Let's start with Sarah, the only Swedish female to go on this trip. So, Sarah, what's your expectation of this journey?
Oh, wow, my expectations. I just wish to have a really good time. I've only been on one sort of championship tournament thing before, and I haven't played for more than like half a year. But I'm hoping that I'll have a good time and that I won't be last.
Well, I'm quite sure you won't be either. We've seen your gaming skills. The only thing I'm a little bit scared of for your sake during this tournament that we will have a problem going home when you've beaten your husband so severely and several places above him in the standings. I just wonder, how will you handle the family situation if results go the way we all expect them to go?
Oh, wow. I'm a really good winner, I would say. Usually very good at beating him. And I tell him about it for a long time, so he's used to it. But I think that he will actually do better than me this time. At least he hopes.
Okay, yeah. For the sake of us getting home, since it's Jonathan that probably will do the driving also on the way back, we will perhaps have to wish for him getting higher up in the standings. I'm a little unsure if we are safe enough now on these small Bohuslän roads to ask Jonathan something as well about his expectation. But let's see what happens. And if we don't make it to Warsaw, you will know on this recording what have happened.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Beck. I'm expecting to play a lot of games, to hide from mortars and get in the top 10 position. If I do that, I'll be happy and I'll go home and drink some vodka. If I don't, I will go home and drink vodka, but more of it. So yeah, it's going to be fantastic fun. It's going to be fun to meet Marek and Johannes. Ben Lagan is coming too. Yes. And all the other guys that I haven't seen or met yet. So it's going to be real fun.
This is the third part of our journey towards Warsaw, and we're now joined in the car by our fifth member on this journey. It's Maurits, of course. We're now complete, and as everyone else in the car, he's also given beer to drink, and we also have to know what's his expectation and what he's looking forward to in Poland. So, Maurits, what do you think?
I'm thinking that I'm hoping at least one person in the car has not had a beer to drink, but...
We won't be playing back the recordings we have done earlier, and so we just leave that. But for your personal ambition, or what excites you with this journey this time?
I think it will be very fun. It was a great time last year. I was very impressed with Warsaw. It was a very nice city, nice people, good food, good beer, good playing games. So I think it will be great.
I concur with you wholeheartedly. And I guess you'll be playing your usual Endak, or do you have a surprise for us?
No surprises yet. I'll save that for the hotel room later.
Great. And listeners, you know the mic will be on when that surprise arrives in the hotel room.
And now we're back, so thank you very much for that, Ludde.
Yeah, thanks. That was interesting.
Just for context, we haven't actually heard it yet, but we're just going to splice it in afterwards.
Yeah.
So now you know how the sausage is made.
Right.
And that's going to be the most fun part if I get your reactions later when I know you sampled some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
And as Magnus actually reminded me during the kind of slight interruption that we had before, we haven't really talked about our kind of hobby status at the moment, and I think especially Magnus has some stuff he wanted to mention.
Yeah, I wanted to mention I finally got some personal hobby time.
Yay!
Yeah,
And we can see the fruits of your labor before our very eyes right now.
Like I told you guys last episode, I've put up some more shelves and I have filled them with a lot of dust stuff, and I have some other stuff as well, of course. But I've got my painting station up and ready, and just for the last few days now, I've been continuing to work on my allied army. I am head swapping U.S. Marine Corps, so they will be wearing berets. They will be British kind of commandos or something like that.
Very nice.
So beautiful. It's the only way to go when if you have to have USMC, head swap them and make them British. That's what I say.
Yeah, in case someone missed it, it's actually been a while since I started working on them, but I have been I've been doing other things for a while now, becoming a father and so on. But now I'm getting back on track here, and the plan is to have all my allied army will be completely British themed.
Very, very cool.
So I've got a lot of different heads to swap for. I think all kinds of British versions.
Yep, it was first time when you hadn't said anything, you brought your Brits to one of our tournaments. We were all like, whoa, that's nice, because that was way before they started making head swaps from the studio. You are a forerunner in these sort of things. Now it just gets, for every swap, it's better and better and better.
I think they will make a nice theme basically, and I found some the new heads from Dust Studio. They are very nice actually. They are super nice. I have a few of those as well, but I have found some different versions. I mean the kind of classic Brit steel helmets, both like normal heads and with gas masks, and I also have these guys with berets and with the Anzac Australian sort of guys. My backstory on the army is basically they are British, but they are from the Asian theater. They're like fighting in Burma or Vietnam or whatever, that area.
You are prepared for Hellgate, I hear. So
exactly.
That's great.
I've been preparing now for what is it, like 1.5 years or so?
Yeah, but if you want to do it thoroughly, you do it from the beginning. So it's so good.
You gotta have projects.
Yeah, that's true.
I made the so you could say mistake of putting those metal helmets and the gas masks on my HQ way back also, because also I think you tipped me when I could get them, and then I for some reason started making an all African Corps army. But that's why I have this strange background story. But because why should a headquarter go around with gas masks in Africa? But of course, well.
Yeah, but you put in a lot of work in that background story, and in your army as a whole. It's a very nice army with some really cool, unique features.
Yeah, and a lot of glue on the head, so that's why I did not swap them, actually, if I should confess that. So, sorry.
Well, you did actually get some recognition for your work on that army.
Yeah, it was really nice, and one of the many reasons why I feel that the Polish people are so friendly, at least to me. And I had some, and I also had some spicy comments from other people who perhaps not like my painting scheme and don't think I'm that much of a painter, who thought that, oh, you did this just because you had Polish persons on your walkers. I don't think that was...
because you actually was voted for best painted army or most popular or people's choice, something like that.
Yeah, well, it annoyed some people that it was the best painted army because some people think I can't paint, and I don't mind if people have that opinion.
Yeah, it's kind of a definition issue because this was the popular vote.
Yeah.
So, it was not decided by a jury.
No. That's why I care. Also, I don't go for the other tournament, the painting stuff, because
so like everyone there voted, and your army was picked as
and let's be fair, I won by only one vote. I'm not going to say who was second, but I just got that info afterwards. So I'm extremely pleased to everyone, and I'm very thankful. And I, what can I say? It's
a nice army. It's a unique army. So
thank you.
Really cool features.
Yeah, and if I just have to say some stuff in my defense then about my painting scheme, I mean, I personally feel that at least the walkers, I'm not that good on painting humans. I can dig that, but the walkers have. I'm very pleased on how I succeeded on making the weathered, beat down coloration scheme, because they are at least 5 or 6 shades of yellowish orange on them. So, and I think you can see where the ammo has hit, and they have repainted and stuff like that. So the walkers I'm actually fucking proud of. But I know I made some goofy stuffs as well, the Scots and the... Well, I'm happy. I'm happy. So,
yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. You're too kind.
As for me, one of the problems I have with my hobby stuff right now is that I don't have enough room at the moment, because I've been doing kind of ancillary kind of hobby stuff. I've been buying and selling a lot of other stuff for other games, which means that those things take up a bit more space in my hobby room. So I haven't actually...
So it's more of a storage room right now.
Unfortunately, yes, and my wife is very annoyed with me. So I'm trying to do the best I can to mitigate that before we're going on holiday. So, but hopefully I'm going to go back painting very soon. I have some kind of ideas of what I want to do painting-wise. With I have started with kind of a European summer-themed SSU army that's based on the Red Guard, with a lot of choppers and the Red Rain and stuff like that. I started quite a long time ago, but I want to finish that because I like that look, that kind of with the deep greens, because I'm kind of a bit the whole desert condor and Babylon thing. It's kind of grinding me down. It's not that I don't like it or think it's beautiful. It is, but that everything is going into that bucket basically at the moment for a lot of players. It's getting to be a bit too much. So I'm trying to find ways to get away from that and do something different.
Good.
Right. Yeah.
And we can cut this, but I just want listeners out there to know that we're not mentally healthy, any one of us, because I mean, apparently Johannes didn't get the memo that that other company GV is getting the Titan game in, was it 12 millimeters or was it?
The Depticus Titanicus thing or whatever with those.
So you got like now 18 normal sized Titans for, I mean, the regular 40k game at the moment. But we all want to...
Yeah, that's completely true. But in my defense, I'm not planning on keeping them all to myself.
Not everyone.
No, I'm actually going to keep like 3.
1,
10. Yeah.
No, I'm going to keep like 3 and then sell the rest or do other stuff with it. So but that's something that's been occupying my space and my time. So hopefully that's going to be manageable soon.
Yeah, I'm just now getting the realization in my mind, how will Johannes' hobby room be looking like at Christmas when the Japanese walkers come?
You don't want to know.
No, definitely. Let's just... But
Will he be able to close the door?
Yep.
I want to build something like, if we're going to go by formats and start to play like 200, 250 points, how many of those big, enormous Japanese super walkers do you think you could fit in that?
Yeah. Start buying chocolates and flowers now, my friend. You need to be prepared, because we don't want to see anything happen to you.
You really need to score some points.
Yeah.
I think this is a good time to go and listen to some interviews from the strip. So,
okay, please.
Yeah.
So this is Friday. We're at a restaurant in the old town, and we have ordered our food and a lot of beers. And on my right now here is Kalle. And let's see if Kalle has some insights on this weekend here in Warsaw.
Hello. Yes, it's going to be a great weekend with about 60 participants and with a lot of Vikings drinking lots of beers. We're going to be well prepared for the game tomorrow.
Yeah, you've ordered a small beer, I say. If we think how you usually do it, how small is it?
It's only 1 liter, unfortunately. It used to be 2, but how to do with this? Can order another 1 liter.
Yeah, I expect you do. So, great. And you also ordered some interesting Polish food, or?
Also have to try the local cuisine, so it's pierogi, obviously.
Great. I'll hope you have a great supper. Let's try and see what Roger also has to say about life in general, his army, or anything else, whatever he feels free to devolve. Yes, that's the insight of Roger. Always very thoughtful, very cool and calm, and we'll hear more from him later on this subject. So it's Friday evening. We're in the Viennieva bistro bar, and we're now sitting down at the table. And of course, we're joined by the first Polish guy in our mix here. And so, this is one of the war journals, of course. And just let's say hi and please introduce yourself to the listeners.
Dzień dobry. Tomasz z Polski.
Great. I had a few wonderful games against Thomas during the last couple of tournaments. His experience of our first game together was probably not so good, but let's not talk about that. So, Thomas, please tell us just in a few words, if you want, in English preferably, but if you want Polish, about your expectation for this tournament. What are you looking forward to?
I'm playing Luftwaffe only for fun. Luftwaffe is out of chance to conquer Red Guard, so I probably want to be a troll on the tournament and destroy some plans.
That sounds great, Thomas, but you know, I've played against you. You're brilliant as hell. I've seen that in Belgium especially, and there's no way. You're here with 2 other Luftwaffe guys. Yeah, that's correct, Ben. You gotta believe, because Luftwaffe can kick some ass. Of course, Roger, wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, I would.
So, 3 again.
Blah!
Okay, yeah. As you hear, Kalle doesn't like the Luftwaffe so much. I can't imagine why. But this is all for now. And it's getting better and better here at the table in the Warsaw bistro, because now the French have started to arrive. So let's say hi to our new friends here and see what they think about the event so far. First off, hi, your name is?
I'm Manuel.
Hi, Manuel. And hi, you are?
Stefan.
Thank you, Stefan, and thank you, Manuel. It's so great to see you guys. How, Manuel, how are your mindset for this tournament? What are you thinking about, and what are you expecting?
I'm expecting a lot of fun, a lot of alcohol, and Marek promised me a lot of gay bar Because it's my birthday today.
Oh, splendid. We're so happy for you. And of course, he's the best man to prepare that for you. So this is going to be an interesting evening. And, we go to our next guy. And what's your expectation of the tournament?
I'm expecting to get drunk as a skunk and have to play a lot and have fun.
Great. That's just the mindset that we want in Warsaw, at least from my point of view. More later.
All right, now we're back, and let's talk about a thing that we actually forgot to talk about last episode, which surprises me, because usually, well, I have to admit, that was totally on me. I'm usually the one who is kind of putting all the stuff together in our planning document about what we're going to talk about, and I completely spaced putting this in the in the list. So the FAQ that was released back in May.
Yeah, that's true, but we all forgot about it.
Yeah.
We had a lot of other interesting stuff to discuss. So
of course, but this is an interesting release because it's not that many changes, but the changes that are there are quite significant.
Yeah, there's a couple of important ones.
Yeah, so if we're going to start with the changes to command actions.
Yeah.
So the FAQ now says that all officer, medic, and mechanic special actions can be used from inside the ground vehicle, but not on the vehicle itself. All officer special actions can be used from inside an aircraft, not on the vehicle itself, but no medic or mechanic special actions can be used from inside an aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the kind of clarification or change, and that we have seen some people doing stuff like that, like having the nurse Emma or having a command squad inside a chopper that just goes around and heals people and gives them stimulants and stuff. So this is a good way to balance that out, because that didn't feel right, basically.
Yeah, I would say this is to take away a little bit from the helicopters, basically. I'm still missing a little bit more clarification on... I would prefer, for example, if a medic is inside a transport vehicle on the ground, can the skills be used on any unit that is adjacent outside? What if there's another transport standing beside the transport?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
how long are the arms of the medic?
Yeah,
for example. That's what I'm after. To me, it's not that clear actually, and I can see arguments going different directions here. So I would really like to see this added a little bit. But the good stuff here is basically to get rid of the annoying medics in helicopters doing weird stuff.
Yeah, and we sorry for now developing stupid questions, as Oliver would say, but these are unfortunate things we face on the ground level when we out demoing and stuff like that. So it would be great if that would be so clear.
Yeah, just a little bit more. It's almost there.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, just a clarification. The size of a smoke screen fired from an artillery weapon is 2 squares by 2 squares in grid play. So the same size as the smoke launcher. So this is just a clarification that all smoke screens or smoke are the same size.
Yeah, I think that most people have played this correctly, but actually in the rule book it's not stated that clear. It's kind of how you probably understand it, but I know I asked this question early on when I read the rule books, like, is it, it should be this, but it doesn't really say so. So this is a nice just clarification to make it crystal clear.
If we're in smoke, I just want to go a little bit sidetracked, because you guys opened my eyes when we were playing a few weeks before the tournament in Warsaw, that actually you can put a vehicle smoke, even if your vehicle is 2 squares or 4 squares, you can put it on just 1 square of the vehicle, and then 3 more adjacent, or what do you call it?
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, I know. Now I learned, and I reread the rules, but for me, I was so convinced that you had to put the smoke on all vehicle squares. So for you out there who are just as dumb as me, who thought that was the case, no, you can put it on one of the Bulldog's squares, for instance, or one of the Punisher squares, and then put 3 that to cover your infantry.
Yeah.
And that's a very nice trick. So a tip from us.
Yeah. Next up, a small little addition to the airborne rule, and this is very simple. Only an airborne unit can join an airborne unit. This solves a lot of discussions in our play group.
Yeah, that's been there's been a lot of discussions about how that should work, and there's been a few different answers on the interwebs, and this solves all of them basically. Just keeping it very simple, like airbornes are airbornes. You can't really go around that in any way.
So it's very simple and good change. The air traffic control rule has been kind of clarified also. Let's see, Magnus, do you have kind of an idea of what exactly the difference is? Because it's a lot of text and I don't want to read everything here.
The addition is that now it works exactly as the Get Moving You Bunch of Monkeys.
So this was
skill.
also a discussion that came up on Facebook.
Because in the rule book, if you roll the die for air traffic control and succeed, it doesn't say that the activation ends for the unit with air traffic control, so that could easily become very weird.
Yeah.
If you make some kind of chain reactivations and stuff, and this is also crystal clear now. It works exactly as Get Moving You Bunch of Monkeys.
Which is good. We like consistency.
Yes. Finally, it's the flying rule.
Yeah.
Which have basically the same addition as the airborne rule, meaning that only a flying unit can join a flying unit. That's also, for example, if you add Action Jackson to a unit of hammers or whatever, what happens? And now it's super clear that you simply can't do that. Yeah, and I think that's nice. It takes away some possible combinations, but it keeps stuff really simple. So that's good. And that's basically it for the new FAQ. Not too many updates, but some really nice ones.
I think that marks another good point for going over to our reporter from the field.
So this is the War Journal, still in the pub and still warming up until the tournament. And we're now very, very pleasured. We have a special guest here at the table because it's the first time around we have a Finnish player in the tournament. And we're, of course, very interested in what's your name and what's your expectation of the tournament.
Hello, I'm Leo. And basically my expectations is to meet you guys. I hope to win at least one match.
I have no doubt. And you have the special character, of course. Oh, sorry. We have to be interrupted by the waitress. But you have a special character, which, of course, interests us all. Tell us a little bit about your leader of your army.
Well, basically my leader is Lauri Törn. And the whole army is made using the basic principle that he didn't need to run away from Finland and became a paratrooper and joined the Condor.
Yeah, and that was a special... there's a lot of interesting Finnish heroes, but he has interested, I think, a lot of people, especially a lot of Swedes. So if you want to share some insights on Lauri, it would be great fun for at least the Swedish listeners to hear about them.
Okay, basically, in real life, Lauri was a soldier of 3 armies. He used to be, he was a soldier in Finnish army, German army, and ended up in United States Army after escaping Finland. And basically, he ended up fighting in a lot of wars.
So basically, your general will be unkillable. So it's no reason why we can't suspect you to win all your games.
There is one problem. He's on holiday at the moment.
Okay, that's great. Okay, I'll leave it to that for now, but I'll be harassing you later in the tournament, I promise you. So, we're here in Friday evening and we're in the pub, and we have now the special guest of Johannes. Johannes, all the way from Berlin. How do you feel?
Hi, I'm feeling good. There's everyone around me, and there's beer, and there's nice people, and there's dust tomorrow, and I'm fine.
Yeah, what more could you ask, actually? But I have, of course, to ask you about, you have a special monkey for us tomorrow.
Of course, so I realized last weekend there's only 1 week left, so some panical speed painting should occur, and I painted up a new ape, so the Luftwaffe guy.
Yeah, we so look forward to seeing him play against other players than ourselves, of course, but I feel you're going to be even more vicious with him than the rest of your usual army.
Maybe, I don't know. I just built a list including all the apes and then thinking what have I points for left, and this is more of, it's not apes, but I can do with it.
So true, so true. Okay, I'm not going to pester you with the mic so much this time. I will reveal it later. I'm standing here, of course, outside the first venue, and I stand here with a legendary Polish player by the name of
Piotr, Panda, something like that. But legendary is a bit too much in my taste.
Well, it's my interpretation of the facts, and I'm in charge, so you're legendary. So it doesn't matter to me what you think. No, this is a one-way show. No. So, Panda, what's your expectation of the tournament that's about to happen next morning?
We will have a great time. I don't mind if I will be last or I will be first. What is the matter to me that I want to have a great time, and everything shows that it will be happen. So I'm happy.
Yeah, and you bring a really interesting Mythos creatures army, or am I wrong?
Unfortunately not, but my close friend of mine, Piotr Chrzanowski, will have Mythos creatures that I helped him to manage his rooster. So he will have edge on his battles.
Oh, I'm so sorry, I mixed the two armies together. Your armies is, of course,
Spetsnaz.
Okay, so a Russian army going full throttle. How many choppers?
2 of them.
And walkers?
1 of them.
Only 1 walker. That's immensely amount of infantry then.
I will have 16 or 17 activations. It depends of what I will met. I have a possibility to split my heroes to achieve as many activations, to have that sweet last activations for my assaulter drop.
Splendid. Okay, I'm looking so forward to this. And of course, we're now moving to the next venue. So we don't get lost away from the others. I will end here, and I will pester you during the tournament with the microphone.
Okay, I will look forward. Thank you for conversation, and have a good night.
Okay, finally, we've been waiting. It's been hours. A whole Friday has passed, and finally Marek has arrived. We have heard a lot of stories. We won't go into them, the stories we've heard, because I think Marek needs a few moments of silence and happiness and fun and enjoy himself. But please, Marek, just say something of what we can expect on the days that come.
Well, for sure, you can expect a lot of fun. As usual, we did our best to bring you the best organized event in the whole world for DAS 1947, the biggest one. Sadly, we had some dropouts, but we also gained some players, like Simon, that is today with us drinking some beers, because he wasn't supposed to be here, but he made it, which makes me very happy, because he's a really competitive and nice player. And we have a good group of players that are joining in right now. I know that some guys are even coming, because I just told them how to get here by train. It was a very tough week for me, because we had a lot of problems with the current transport that sadly will be 1 day late for the championship. This is very, very bad, but that's already behind us. I know we're gonna have a supreme weekend with a lot of fun, a lot of games, and what I can say, the best event for Dust that you can have this year.
I'm 100% sure, and I'm so glad that you're here. So thank you very much for sharing a few words with us, Marek.
All right, and now we're back in the studio, or actually Magnus' hobby room, as we kind of mentioned before. And now it's time to go over to mail call. Our first question comes from none other than Greg Boisbelot, and
the great ape himself.
Yes. And for those who haven't seen this yet, there's actually a reason why you say that. It's not.
No, it's only personal. No. Have you seen his profile picture? No, sorry.
Yeah. Greg asks, if you were to play a narrative global campaign, what elements would you like to see?
Shouldn't you just say perhaps the reason why we call him the Great Ape? Or is this going to be a secret or cliffhanger? I don't know.
No, it's not a secret. It has to do with the previews that Paolo showed off. There's actually a Blutkreuz hero that's going to be actually both Blutkreuz and Mercenary.
Yeah, it's
you can
so
play
cool.
it as either. So it's either Blutkreuz or defected from the Blutkreuz.
Yeah.
And it's one of those big intelligent apes with a big auto gun like you see on the, well, basically the SSU Steel Guard.
Yeah.
And he's sort of an homage to Greg.
Yeah. No more arguing with the rest of the studio guys for Greg. He can just, he shows that one and it quiets down.
Yeah.
Right, so to the question.
To the question, yeah. If we're going to play a narrative global campaign, what elements would we like to see in that? And that's very, of course, for Greg, that's a very relevant question because he is the one.
He happens to be running a narrative global campaign.
Yeah, the Endless War.
I've heard something about that. You know?
So what kind of things do we think that we would like to see?
Well, this question really got me thinking because I love this stuff. I love this kind of campaigns, and I think it was brilliant when they started the Endless War campaign. And something that I've always liked are maps. They are like very visual. For me, it kind of really, I don't know. I immediately start thinking about different scenarios. Ooh, what kind of terrain is this? What are they fighting about?
Yeah, definitely.
Who is attacking from which direction and all that sort of stuff. So I would really like to see some maps in the Endless War campaign.
Yeah, I've been sitting drooling on those Condor and those Babylon maps when they have the arrows and they are attacking here and stuff like that. They're just great.
Yeah, but I mean, when they send out the newsletters or the monthly updates, there's always some cool text describing on what they focus on and who is fighting. But I would like to see that in a picture, basically.
I understand.
That's something that I really like to see. And I guess I'm continuing or
speed on.
Cool. Something else that I also would like to see is some kind of monthly special rules. There are loads of stuff that you could add, but I mean, for everyone who is playing in the campaign, they should be able to use this month because of the fighting in the Everglades or in Iceland or whatever it is. This rule is in effect.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
And I think that would kind of shake up things a little bit, make it interesting.
Yeah.
And also, I think for the studio, for Olivier, it could be a really nice way to try out if they have some ideas for rules.
So
and they want to try it out and get possibly some feedback.
Absolutely.
Do this rule work or not? I just quickly came up with an example there. I mean, that it could be a special rule for a specific block, like everyone playing SSU have this bonus or have this choice or whatever. It could be like special versions. If you play the Wotan 2 this month, it has some kind of special skill or it changes something about it. I don't know. But you see what I'm saying? It makes it a bit interesting, but just for a month. So you have to play now.
Yeah.
And the example I just came up with to make my point here is basically, for example, experimental VK technology. Before the game, choose one weapon on a vehicle in your army. a vehicle with a weapon with salvo, reload, or artillery cannot be chosen. The chosen weapon gains the salvo skill, but each time the weapon uses the salvo skill, after the attack is resolved, you need to roll to see if the vehicle suffers a critical hit. So it kind of, the VK boosts one of the weapon, but the technology isn't finished, so something really bad can possibly happen.
Yeah.
So it's a risk-reward sort of situation.
And maybe even if you want to make it more focused, just roll one die, and if that die is a faction symbol, then it's a critical hit.
Yeah.
So make it more likely.
Yeah.
Sure.
So something like that.
You can put this on your huge Königsluthor or whatever to make it a really terrible weapon. But what happens if the first time you use it, the weapon is destroyed or it is immobilized or something.
And then
like
you
that,
have to run a bunch of mechanics, and it's a very different type of scenario, and you can build an entire scenario around that. If you have a big Königsluthor or something with this rule, and the goal of the other player could then be to knock that unit out. You can play around a lot of that. I like the idea. That kind of also brings to mind one of the things that I thought about regarding this. I would like to see some more specific focus on different areas of the map. As it is now, you can choose to fight basically anywhere you want to. I would like to see, like, this month we are focusing on this continent or on this specific front, and see how the fighting there turns out. So there's a bit more direct feedback, basically. I think that's one of the things that I would enjoy. Just kind of see more specifically, okay, I really want the allies to make a foothold in this specific place, so I'm going to play and really try to win for the allies in this specific.
Yeah, but some players always want to play in Zverograd or some other place, so I think that's nice to be able to choose. But I think if you add the map I was talking about earlier to make it more visual, more compelling to use it, and really, okay, I want to be on this side attacking over that specific bridge.
Yeah, but I see no reason why those 2 points, your points with maps and your points with specifically targeting an area, those two could be joined together and sort of coexist. So I have no problem with that, either of it. I was intrigued with the maps, and I'm really glad for that, and I like what Johanna said also, but the more I think about it, the most of what you guys say, at least, the special rules is very... It really appeals to me, because what and perhaps a lot of others would think as well, but I want the campaign to be not static and be more challenging too, because what my biggest problem is players who only want to play the standard scenarios and only want to play with 2 mats and only want to play 100 points and only want to do the things the same. And I actually use I try to speak even worse English when I say it, because I get so fucking annoyed with it. And it's totally fine. Everyone should play the way they like it. But unfortunately, it's a turn off for me. So I like it when it's new all the time. And I like the chaos bit. Just the fact that, okay, this time I have no fucking idea what we're doing, but it's fun, and I have my toys, so I play with my toys, and I got fucked over.
Variety is the spice of life.
Yeah, I get so irritated. That's of course that's almost what I guess what Georgie is trying to get at here. He wants more tips. How should he not make this campaign go flat, so to speak? So perhaps I'm just stating the obvious, and I'm sorry for this. I should be more inventive, but I still hook on your point there. Special things, make it different, try things out. This is just a fucking campaign. So if you turn out a scenario and everyone hates it, well, fuck that scenario. No one plays that. Take a better one next time. Make something crazy. It doesn't matter.
And I've played other games that I used a similar idea to have these limited by time rules, basically. that you can only, this rule is only used for now.
Yeah.
And in a couple of weeks or next month, it's going to be a different rule. So right now, maybe your army is suffering a bit because that rule isn't very good for you. But on the other hand, next month, maybe the tide turns, so you get some kind of bonus or a rule that works better for you.
So if you try to brainstorm a few basic ideas for rules like that, one idea that came to mind, like limited supplies for VK. So you can't have any units with the special weapons. You can't have lasers, you can't have phasers, you can't have Teslas. And then you have to build an army around those kind of parameters. Yeah. So that could be something just to force you to do something different with your army.
Yeah,
so
maybe,
that could be,
and maybe next month they have found some new VK source. So all units with
VK has a special skill.
Or becomes 1 point cheaper or something like that. Just to swing the balance the complete other way.
Yeah, precisely. It's endless of things. I just like to say also that one thing that I would like to go submerged as well. I want to go underwater. So I want a scenario. I know I should have built it. I should have wrote it. I should have sent it in. I haven't. I'm lazy. I'm sorry. But going underwater, I would like. And why not? Couldn't you also send out? I mean, it was like, couldn't you get like a 2D terrain that you could print? A small thing, perhaps, I don't know, could that be something that you could print your terrain, and then the ones of us who likes it can make it in 3D for ourselves, and then if it's popular, frickin' make the model from the studio and sell it in a few months, because the amount of downloads perhaps will indicate then, because I'm thinking about, like the old submarine from Sea Level, thank you, because that's those special tiles, and those are not, but of course you can't perhaps have printable 3 tiles terrain, but you should be able to do an A4 with something special terrain that you can print, and then if it's a success, start producing it. And you can play around with it.
That's an interesting idea, just to try a way to experiment within the models of the game or the kind of scenery, not just with the rules themselves. So it's an interesting idea, I think.
Yeah, I like it. I like it as well. Yeah, I like it as well. It's a very nice opportunity for the studio to just experiment, try things, and at the same time for us players keep everything like fresh and interesting and
and that's how you keep players around. I think I think Dust is very good at the moment for getting people's attention, but maybe not at holding that attention for everyone. That's something that we've seen, that there's when we're out demoing, there's a lot of people who are very, very interested in the aesthetics.
Yeah.
But if they feel like the game itself is kind of static or the samey, then maybe they're not going to stick around. So that could be some way to kind of mitigate that.
Yeah, sure.
All right, next question comes from Brian Keith Yuntz, and his question is, of the settings in the Dust operations, which do each of you gentlemen prefer? Antarctica, Britain, Sverograd, Babylon, or do you guys have game set in other settings described in the background? So do you prefer playing game set in a location described in the background or outside it?
Well, first off, you have to start this question from the beginning. Something has apparently gone wrong here, because as you see, he writes "you gentlemen," and I don't know who he's talking about here. So let's just but just imagine it's us.
I'm sorry, my lady.
Yes. You shouldn't out that in the air, Look, your wife may be listening. Come on. No, seriously. I just got to jump on this because you were into it in a few minutes ago there, when it's getting a little bit too much deserty, and I agree with that. But it's only our own laziness, perhaps, that makes us go with the desert theme. But I concur wholeheartedly, even if my allied army is a desert walker army, a desert army. So what am I going to say? I'm going to say Antarctica, Britain, Sverograd, all those I prefer. Since I'm a Russian, I love playing Sverograd and the tundra, the big grassy fields of Russia, sweet things to play at. But of course, I also would love to see more Antarctica games because they were just around for the old coffin box, I would say.
The very beginning of the game.
Yeah. And but I've replayed at least some of those, and I know Brian does a lot of splendid, interesting work on trying to revamp these scenarios. So I say go with more snow and ice, man. That's a good contradiction to the desert and the sun.
Absolutely. And I kind of answered this previously with just talking about my kind of hobby project with the Russian army. But at the same time, I'm also very much looking forward to seeing if we actually are going to get an operation set in the Pacific. I'm really looking forward to see what they can do with that, just from a purely aesthetic standpoint.
Yeah.
More greenery, more jungle theme, more beach scenarios, those kinds of things is something I would like to see a lot more of.
Definitely. Unfortunately I don't have this on the mic because I didn't have the battery charged when I did talk with Ben Lagan a lot about this, and we had some really nice and interesting discussions on nice specific, island hopping games and stuff like that. With it was just like and when the new Japanese, when they coming through the waters and rising out of the water onto the beaches and then assaulting into the island. There's so much interesting and good stuff you can do with the Pacific. So, yeah.
Well, for me, first, I would like to say that I like variety. I come back to that a lot, both in like terrain-wise and scenario-wise, army-wise, everything. I like variety. I don't like to play the same thing over and over. If I would have to choose one of these, I'm usually falling back to city fighting, and historically, I'm interested in the World War II Eastern Front, and that was some really bitter fighting, especially in Stalingrad and similar places. Basically, there was a lot of that, and that is so. I don't know. For me, it's something special with that close up, from door to door, from street to street kind of fighting, from pile of rubble to pile of rubble. So of the studios battlegrounds, basically, I would say Sverograd in that case. But there are a lot of cool stuff that you could do with the other ones as well. I feel the same as you, Johannes, with the desert. We've been playing a lot of desert now for quite some time, so it's not that it's a bad place, but yeah, something else is nice as well.
Definitely, and when you say city fighting, of course, what we need to take our cities one step further to have those even higher buildings, because we only have 2-3 levels of of our buildings. I just like to see those humongous skyscrapers of 6, 8, 9 floors. It will be difficult playing on those game boards, but I think it should be manageable if one does the right board. But walking that walker through the streets when the sky towers just...
You could do that stuff that we've seen people when they kind of custom create a game with having like the bombed outside so that the backside of the buildings are completely open. Stuff like that makes it a lot easier. So it's not just an aesthetic choice, it's actually gameplay mechanic wise as well. So yeah, that would be really, really cool.
I actually miss my Sverograd gridless table that's in Linköping right now, because those buildings were, at least 5 of them were 3 or 4 stories high. And when I have some pictures still when Russian tanks rolling on the streets in between these houses. And it's not because I did it, just the fact that tanks, huge houses, that thing is just...
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. There's just something about that.
Yeah.
All right. Next question comes from Adam Pullman, and Adam asks, "What do you think makes for a good scenario?" You've talked about some of the scenarios that you've enjoyed at tournaments in recent shows. What gets you excited when you read a scenario for the first time? This is a very, very multi-layered question because there's so much that goes into a scenario. I think for me, it's very rare that it's just clicks and I just read a scenario and say, "Oh, this is going to be so much fun," because I just have to think about all the pieces of it fitting together to get kind of a complete picture of it before I can really understand how to approach it. And that process can take a lot of time. So I think if it's something that really pops out for me first is just how do you win? What's the win condition for this scenario? And if that is something that is unusual or special in some way, that's usually what first grabs my attention.
Yeah, well, I like to do like this. Bah! And I think we all remember the goat cheese. And that was just, or the goat chase or whatever. That was just super. But that's also something totally unsuspected and unthought of. And, we're chasing a fucking goat around the table. I mean, that's, of course, wonderful. Because that put something that studio had done that no one were using into focus also. Something, yeah,
but for me, basically all of these stuff, theme, balance, objective, story, game board, layout, they all kind of tie together, because if there is one of them that are really bad, it kind of ruins everything else. So the layout needs to be interesting, so it gives the players interesting choices. So it's not super obvious that, okay, you must go this way, otherwise you will lose. But at the same time, there needs to be balance. You need to have cool theme of it, and the story isn't, it's not really necessary, but it can tie everything together and explain why this is happening or why the board looks exactly like it does. I can't really pick one specific reason that I believe a scenario is a good one. It needs to come together as a whole.
Yeah, and I'm sorry jumping in there, but just like a comedy show, you can't have 5 goofs, so don't make everything special. Have 4 things, perhaps of these, be just standardized, but working, as you say, so it's tied in, and then make one thing special. So don't try to overdo it on every part. Just make that thing.
And I think for me, the scenarios that I tend to enjoy the most are the ones that are kind of thematically consistent. That every rule in it is consistent with the theme of the scenario. So, like for instance, you mentioned the goat chase thing. Real fun idea, and they've really run with the idea and made everything in that scenario fit with that idea. And that's the kind of things that I feel I can really enjoy, because if it just... So kind of like a counterpoint to your point there, if it's just one thing that kind of sticks out and it doesn't seem to gel with the rest of the scenario, then I don't think I'm going to enjoy it as much as if everything was kind of made to fit together.
Yeah, it's so true. Just don't throw in a goat just to make it fun. I mean, that's what you do on Friday evenings when your wife's out of town. But I mean, for a scenario, you have to know why it's there, of course. Yeah.
All right, final question for this show come from Michael Montelongo, and Michael asks, what are your speculations for the new Desert Scorpion starter boxes? And he's also asking, are Infantry 1 taking over the game? I don't see a lot of Infantry 2 in lists nowadays. So let's start with the Desert Scorpion starter boxes. Well, we've seen the pictures. We've seen the Sean with a big claymore. We've seen the foot soldiers with the kind of SMG small phasers. Yeah, just especially that infantry is something that I'm very, very much looking forward to personally.
Yeah, my speculation is that the new starter boxes are going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm actually also very much looking forward to just seeing and feeling the new plastic that they've been hyping now for quite a long time. This is the reason why we don't have the starter box for the Desert Scorpions yet. So kind of going to give us a kind of indication of the quality of the infantry going forward. That's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, we probably going to hear also some stuff on that during some of the tapes that we did in Poland. But Paolo and Olivier and everyone from studio talked a lot about the way the new special weapons, how they were going to be done so they won't bend or break. I mean, the swords will be crisp and sharp and almost usable. No, but I mean, so some of these details really, really, really going to be interesting to see how well they deliver on, so to speak. But I'm sure it's going to be a great box. And I'm quite sure that everything you mentioned is going to be in it.
All right, so let's take the other part of this question. Are Infantry 1 taking over the game?
No, it already has for a long time ago.
Yeah,
so we
that's
don't know.
exactly what I was going to say. That happened a long time ago.
Yeah, so, but still, it was fun to see in Warsaw that a lot, not only me, were playing Infantry 2s as well. So there is some who fight the good battle that won't, but if you want to play a winning tournament, you want something point efficient and everything, yeah, of course the Infantry 1, but you say it better, Magnus, please go ahead.
I don't really know what to add to it. We've talked about this multiple times before as well, and the Infantry 1 more or less spam armies are really strong choices at the moment, and they have been for quite some time now. It's the NDAC, the Spetsnaz, the US Marine Corps, and with the additions that the Luftwaffe have got, I mean, their heroes and some other stuff, they are getting very nasty, actually. They are being a complete army. In the beginning, they had a lot of trouble, but now they are definitely a force to be reckoned with as well. And I mean, yeah, those are all Infantry 1s, and they are really good, and that's what the game looks like right now.
On the same time, of course, I have to be the village fool or something. I mean, taking the idiotic opposite direction as well, even to my own counter arguments, because I still managed to beat the NDAC player I faced in Warsaw. I did lose to the Spetsnaz guy. I'd say, though, he was a very good player, but also some specific die rolls. So it could have turned out that I actually would have beaten the two Infantry 1s with my Infantry 2s. So it's not like the Infantry 2s is not a shitty army, and you can still play it. But I think I ranted about this the last time we did the pod, and perhaps even the one before. They need to play 8 turns. So if you play 8 turns with your friends, use the Infantry 2s, and I'm pretty sure you can beat whatever he throws at you. But of course, you can't just take anything. You have to pickpocket it. So you have to make smart moves.
That's, of course, that is it's a kind of tournament thing as well, because tournament games, they tend to be they are limited in time, obviously, and you need to play really quickly, and a lot of times you are probably not going to play all the turns, like you said. So you have to do stuff like from turn 1, turn 2, possibly turn 3, but then basically the game is over. So the Soldier 2 armies and probably Soldier 3, possibly Soldier 4, depending on what you have else. They have harder time doing that stuff. So,
definitely.
I don't know. Tournament-wise, of course, it's not impossible to beat these armies, like you said. It's not instant loss or anything, but they have the upper hand and that's enough for player to play them more.
Yeah. Because
you have to kind of think of it in some ways as a game of probabilities.
Yeah.
And if you have more units with more firepower, then you shift the probabilities in your favor. So it's not that it's impossible to win, like you said, but it's more probable for the Infantry 1 units to beat the Infantry 2 units in most cases, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I don't want to make a lot of new enemies out there. I think I have enough. But to me, you could rant a little bit and say, yeah, if you desperately need to win and you're not that smart, play the Infantry 1s. And if you are a smart guy who would like to challenge and you just don't want to win easily, you play the Infantry 2s, or even the Allied Infantry 3s. Because we have one brave guy in Sweden, in Uddevalla, who plays sometimes Infantry 2, and he's doing a great job with it, but it's not that successful, at least what I remember it. But
you can just turn your head and look over at my shelf over there.
Yeah. Those are also some who looks great on your shelf. I mean,
they do see some action.
And someone like you can play them, but I mean.
I didn't say they were successful.
No. So, but basically, one could challenge the community all around the world. If you think you're somebody, then don't fucking play the Infantry 1s. Show your stamina. Perhaps we should print out T-shirts that say, I only play Infantry 2s or something like that. I don't know, those interesting bumper stickers people have on their cars where they say all manner of obscenities.
Right, yeah, for next year in Warsaw.
Yeah. This M4 stepped on your... or something like that. I don't know.
Talking about Warsaw, that's it for our questions. So now let's go over to tournament talk. And there's probably a lot we could say, or that you could tell the audience, I think, Ludda.
Yeah, hopefully, though, a lot of those recordings I did could speak for themselves also, so you don't have to get tired on listening to my voice. Of course, no one gets tired of listening to my voice. We could do like 16 hours straight, and you guys out there, but we can't give you too much. So what I'm going to say is like, it was fun. It was a great thing. It was, as I said in the beginning of the podcast, it was a little bit more the senior trip for me because it was more smooth. It's not so bumpy. It was great to see all the players, everyone there. It felt like it was an even more friendlier attitude this year than before. I had a great opportunity in the players I played. I hadn't played anyone what I remember before. Sorry, Pavel, if we did play before. I only remember drinking with you or starting to drink with you, and then I kind of black out. And then, so if we played and I don't remember, I know whose vodka it's the fault is. But so, this is a very friendly, nice guys. I had the big pleasure, of course. I'm not saying this. People think I'm stupid soon, but I actually played Paolo's Steel Guards in my second game. So and that was, of course, immensely fun. We just had one of those moments when I could secure an objective with my HQ, but I was playing Paolo. I mean, what the fuck? So my HQ jumps out and places itself in front of two of Steel Guard's units. Ooh. Okay, yeah, they're inside a forest or a woodland square. But I just stick my British flag up to the nose to his Steel Guards. His Guaylo is over there. His infantry killers is over there, and he's just going, "Oh, come on, bring some!"
Show me what you got.
Yeah, it was like the dog soldier.
None shall pass.
Yeah. No, for me it was the dog soldier.
No shall pass, mate.
Sorry, just keeping on a theme here, but the dog soldier, if you've seen the movie, where the British soldiers are fighting werewolves in Scotland, you gotta see that movie. It's so great. And he was just like, and the guy, he took the bait. Paul is such a sweet guy, so he of course had to kill my HQ, and he went for it. And I survived. People were flying left and right, and bullets were flying, but Loudmouth Lawrence was standing there with the British flag, And I think it took him 2 or 3 rounds with intensive fire from his steel guards from all forces, but he kept standing, defying him. It was such a great, epic moment. I can't thank you enough, Paolo, that for that game. But that's like, I'm gonna play for points. Okay, am I trying to take the easy objective points when I'm playing Paolo Parente? Well, no fucking way. I'm putting the flag in his face. Of course. I mean, I
go for the epicness.
Yeah. I felt he
good
enjoyed
call.
it. So yeah, you guys. But then. And there was a great guy who won it. I wish I could pronounce his name, but I don't want to disgrace his name by we can fix that later. But a great guy who played Luftwaffe in such a different way. He didn't drop onto people. He dropped way back. And he killed them from afar.
Yeah,
a total new way of playing Luftwaffe. At least
that's kind of the thing that I've been kind of championing people to try out, because again, you kind of shift the probabilities in your favor by doing that. Of course, you can get big advances by putting them right in the face of the people, but okay, you. Maybe if you roll for activation and you get it, then maybe you can take out 1 or 2 units. But then your unit is gone.
Yeah. So
but if you play it safe and put it back there, it can do a lot more.
Yeah.
It's going to take more time, but in the long run, it's going to shift the probabilities more in your favor. So I think that's a smart thing to do.
Yeah, it's really nice when it happens. And also, I had the opportunity to play. There's apparently a new breed coming up in Warsaw with younger players who basically have thrown out the old book and play by their own rules. I mean, like, they do crazy stuff. Like the Spetsnaz guy that beat me, hats off to him. You'll hear from him in one of the clips. He had Iron Joe, of course. He had the HQ, of course. But what did he do? He placed Iron Joe 2 squares away from the HQ. And he used Iron Joe to reactivate the HQ after the HQ had reactivated the Spetsnaz. And I looked at it and I say, you're fucking daft, man. This is so stupid. But it worked. Yeah. And he got a rotation on his squads that I can't see the math. But he had, it just was, it felt, as I say, it felt stupid, and I felt very sure that were not going to be a winning concept. But it worked. It worked like crazy, and it was so good that here's the young kid. At least 20, I think he was, something like that. And he's just showing me a brand new way of playing the game, just by doing something so completely fucking faulty or something. I mean, you don't do that. You don't play Iron Joe beside there should be. I commend you for not having them in the transporter.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been playing this game for years.
Yeah.
And suddenly other people are just doing things completely differently and getting it to work.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's awesome.
I love that story. And that's why we need younger players and newer players, just to kind of get past those kind of mental blocks that us old foxes are stuck with.
Definitely. You can really find the good I'm not gonna rant. You had more things you wanted me to mention, perhaps about like the Paolo presentation.
Yeah, we could just hear one of the clips now we talked about. So we're gonna play some for you right now. So. And now we're back, so now we can start talking about the big preview presentation that Paolo held. And this was, just from my perspective, seeing it kind of semi-live with updates on Facebook with new pictures. Yeah. That was really exciting.
It was, and I love it. I could say both positive and negative things about it, though. I must say that when they did it a few years ago, and we were told not to leak the pictures, and we as I understand it, didn't do it. We had shared some special magical moments, and that, of course, made you feel very much privileged. So perhaps, to my for my ego, only for my ego, it would have been nice to say, okay, now please shut off your telephones. I don't care what they would have shown me. They could have shown me the guy on the flying mat or something, flying carpet. I just, this is very secret or something like that, you know. And then I felt I would have, when it all gone online, the second it went, well, why did I go to the presentation? I could have stayed at home. I'm sorry. It was a great presentation. It was immensely nice things to see. Could I do a spoiler? Yeah, I think I'm going to do it anyway. You can cut it out otherwise. You know, one thing that is shown in the preview that is not released, that is a long way away from being released, has wound itself into the Dust War Journal's studio. So, guys and girls out there will be a prize to win in a competition in the near future. Not going to say more, but if you don't want to win that prize, you thought that, what they call the if you thought that was a great prize, well, I can tell you this is, of course, a little bit smaller, but I mean, God damn, I take a kidney for that price.
Yeah, so to be sure, we're not going to talk about all the details about this in this episode.
No.
It's going to be in an upcoming episode. But let's just say that, this is something that is unique. There is no one else in the world that has this.
Yep.
So you would want to check out this contest when we put it up. Yeah. Just saying that.
That just also goes to show the greatness of Paolo and Olivier and all the studio that give us the opportunity to give you guys out there in the community. They like you so much. We are able to give you this prize. It's not we are giving you this prize. It's the studio giving you. Yeah. We are just happy to be the middle guy.
Facilitators, basically.
So, but more on that, of course, in following episodes that will arrive.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit about the presentation. I think it's too much stuff to just go through everything. But is there some specific thing that you would kind of things stuck out for you?
Yeah, a lot of things, but as you of course understand. But let's try some. What do I like? I'm still very, very skeptical to the guy on the flying carpet. Oh. A lovely miniature. I just fucking love it the way when you look at it. But then I think, am I going to see that on a game board? I'm going to shoot it with a real gun, but okay, it's a wonderful thing.
Personally, I love it because it's so cheesy.
Yeah.
It's extremely cheesy. I'm going to name my guy Mr. Omar.
Oh, of course.
Because for non-Swedes that might not be, but that's a reference to a children's book called Ture Sventon. Yeah. And there's a guy there who sells the main character a flying carpet, and his name is Mr. Omar. Yeah. So yeah, that's Mr. Omar to me, this guy.
You're so true. It really makes me want to make Ture Sventon character because that's one of my favorites, and thankfully also one of my daughters now starting to get to the favorite characters to read about. It's the hopeless detective who's a smart ass and just eats those special buns with cream in it.
It's basically like a Sherlock Holmes parody for kids.
Yeah. So it's hilarious. But okay, straying off topic. Yeah. I just gotta say, of course, almost everything I saw from the I'm leaving the big, huge robots from the Japanese to you, Johannes. But basically, because I know you're gonna buy them, so I don't need to. I'm gonna play with them anyway. But everything else, the railgun, fucking hell. And it just that just makes it's just so wonderful. They make one mercenary unit unique, having one railgun, so you can only buy that once because there's only one captured railgun in the entire world, and it's just these two merc girls that has that railgun. Yeah. I hope they make it even special, so if Magnus chooses the real railgun, I can't, or something like that. You can, or if Magnus' railgun is killed, then I can put mine on the table or something like that. I love just the uniqueness of it. But then on the walkers, those. They are it's just like the KV-47s all over again. The first time I saw the Japanese walkers, the first time I saw the KV-47s, I thought, what the fuck is this? They look like shit. But then they start to warm on you, and you start to get obsessed with them. And the shape of the Japanese walkers there's such... And, well, I'll mention one thing that they say in the interview, Paolo, but I'll say it here anyway. We who are obsessed with the Japanese walkers, who love those extra shell, the boat shell that they showed us the first time a couple of years ago when they were secret hush hush hush, we will be able to buy those specially from the studio. I'm already prepared to make my order for them because it's too much plastic. The walkers would cost too much, and not many would like them. But I know a few of our geeks out there who will just love putting those boats outside the walkers, and then just, I'm coming ashore, the boat is falling off, and my walker is walking. Sorry, I'm just, I don't know how, I don't know why, it works for me, guys.
Yeah.
It works for me.
Well, let's just talk a little bit about the Japanese, because they showed off a lot of the Japanese, and they also confirmed that the target for release of this is this Christmas, so they are finally coming. And this is just not something they've said or shown. They actually showed actual models at the tournament.
Oh yeah, they had a glass pillar with these. Well, they had the standard one that comes in the army box, because there will be an army box released or a starter box, you know. And they had the upgrade, the heavy one with the rail gun, and and all the ninjas.
Yeah, yes. If you just go by these pictures, this is definitely a complete army. If they release everything we see here in a short amount of time, there's not the situation that we've had with the Desert Scorpions, that you get like 2-3 units and then you have to wait 6 months.
No,
this is a complete release and a complete army right out of the gate. Hopefully, at least.
Yeah, that's great, and they kind of have to do a big release for it, because it's going to be a new block, a fourth or even fifth block by now. So they can't really wait too long. People need to be able to play a complete army fairly quickly. So
you get everything here. You get the light infantry with the ninjas, you get the medium infantry with the paratroopers, and you get the heavy infantry with the robot squads.
Yeah, and those, I must say, apparently you let them loose on the battlefield, and then they work on their own. So you put them too close to your own troops, they kill your troops. If you put them, so they just walk around, do their own shit. I think Olivier exact words was they do their shit, and they fuck up everything that comes close. So that could be immense. And I mean, then it doesn't matter what the randomness will kill people mentally. They're running around killing things. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm just. The thing I feel with these robotic troops is that either they're going to have to be very cheap for the firepower they have, or they're going to have to be very hard to kill. Because even if there is some sort of randomness involved in how they move, they're still going to be easier than a human opponent to play around, I suspect. I haven't seen the rules for this, so I'm not completely sure, but that's kind of the feeling I get.
Yeah, actually, these are one of the new units that I'm most, how would you say? I'm really hoping they make the rules for these good, because we have seen some pictures and they look cool and everything, but for me, if a unit acts all on itself, all by itself, it takes away player choice.
Yeah,
it can easily get boring, if you know what I mean.
Oh, definitely. I think those are either for those who want to spice it up, or
it kind of sounds fun at first, but I think I don't know.
Yeah, it reminds me, the way Oliver talked about them a little bit, it reminded me a little bit about, what do they call, the little goblins in Warhammer Fantasy. When you release them out of your big squad, you throw them out against the opponents, and they were spinning around with a big bolt, and they were hitting like everything and killing everything. But if you're careful, they went your way all of a sudden, and if they went into your troops, they just annihilated yourselves. So it is a little orcish, I would say, a little goblinish about it.
It could also be a way for people to do more solo play if you just go with your army against an army of these guys that just play themselves.
Yeah, well, that would be an interesting one. Perhaps that would be great against one of those kill team scenarios. When
like I said, I just hope they make the rules for them good rules and balanced rules and everything, because if you have units that just act by themselves and it turns out that they are too good, if they are too hard to kill or whatever, it can easily make the game not fun.
Yeah, definitely.
And of course, if they are too bad, if they are, the risks are too high or whatever, nobody will play them. So, the feeling I have is that this kind of unit, with the little information that we have, seems to be super hard to make to work in the game.
Wait, what I remember from what Oliver said, if my memory serves me, and I have to take this with a pinch of salt now, but I think they were going to be infantry 3 at least. So I think,
makes sense.
Yeah, they look kind of bulky and well armored.
Yeah.
Okay, so talking about the Japanese, something that's actually going to be the case for all the blocks, including the Japanese, is something that kind of surprised a lot of people, because all the blocks are going to get a lot, and I mean a lot, of tanks.
Yeah, definitely. Mythos creature killers, most of them, I would say.
It's everything from like amphibious tanks for the SSU and for the Allies. It's the big super heavy tanks also for the Allies. It's the E-tanks, which are also kind of super heavy for the Axis. So yeah, tanks all over the place.
Yeah.
This makes me very, very happy, because this is something that I've personally requested, just more not mundane, but more kind of realistic units to mix up with the more fancy units. So it makes for a very interesting blend, I think. And of course, these are going to come with their own dust twists. I mean, like the E-tanks, those were never mass-produced in real life. So now you're going to get kind of what if they actually were mass-produced? How will they kind of
I
go
also,
forward? And,
I also loved it when I saw those pictures of these tanks, and it's super nice. I like tanks in general, and I think there should be more in the game. I see really no reason why not. And also, like we said before, at the moment there are a lot of infantry heavy lists out there. This is a possibility to kind of turn that tide a little bit. I hope we will get to see more vehicles in the future.
Yeah, I concur with what you said, guys, and I think it's more and more important that the studio don't forget some of its base, so that if it spins out and far out reaches when they do new stuff, and it gets more weird, that they still have the core, because I know a lot of players, unfortunately, perhaps just want to play the core World War II still, even though we're moving way past it and everything happens. So just to make sure we don't lose any of those players, bring the tanks. That's a great way to work it.
Yeah.
There was also another presentation going on.
Yeah, definitely. We had one extra presentation, and we should have had it on mic. We might have just a short clip of it, but unfortunately I fucked up that recording as well. I'm so sorry for that, Johannes. But we will make amends for that, of course. It was about the new commando program, and I think it's great that Marek enlisted Johannes, not Johannes War Journals, but Belling from Berlin. And he has worked out, together with Marek, a program to, support Dust, actually.
Yeah, so this is the European version of the organized play program.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So if you're out there and want to spread the word of Dust and do demos or host like events, this program is designed to help you do that and help you become more successful.
Yeah, and it was a great stepping, a learning curve, or getting into it kind of steps, because it was easy to get into the ground level. It gets a little bit harder for every level to reach into on the Angelo. So if you want to be important in your community, you have to work for it. You can't just go around and say, I am the general of, or I'm the big honcho here in my town. So you have to work for it. And but then also you get kickbacks from the studio or via Marek. You get it from War Factory, you should say. So War Factory will make it worth your while if you do many tournaments and really invest in producing the game and stuff like that. So I think it was a good balance, and the logo's sweet. I think it's very well done logo. It works for all the factions. It works for every opportunity, one could say. It has a little piece of everything, and it's just, as always, of course, when War Factory does something, it's very well thought out. It's not just made randomly, or this is.
So if any of our European listeners want to have some more information on this, where can they find it?
I would make it easier to go to the document that Johannes has put on the Dust War Journal's homepage, and you got the email there. So I think it's basically Commando War Factory or something like that. I never remember these things.
Yeah, maybe we can put an extra link up in the episode.
Yeah, so you can go to the show notes for this episode and you can find the link to the presentation on video. You can find a link to the PowerPoint with the information, and also the email to enlist yourself.
Yeah. We need more commandos.
More commandos for the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on a couple right now.
That's good. All right. So let's also talk a little bit about the future, because we had a very good tournament ourselves back in April, the Dust Nordic tournament, and we have now set the date for next year's Dust Nordic. So we thought we should go out and prepare people for what's coming, and that's going to be April 13th and 14th. 2019, and just some basic information is available now on dustnordic.com, but there's going to be much more added as soon as we get it. But we thought we should at least get the information about the date out as soon as we could.
Yeah, so all you guys out there, book this date in your calendar right now. You need to come to Dust Nordic next year.
And not to say to hype it up too much, but it looks like we are planning to get both Olivier and Paolo as special guests. So if that's something that you would like see as a reason to come, then yeah, you got it.
And there's a few other tournaments also coming, or we know that Linköping, for us in Sweden at least, will host a very special tournament. I like to just mention it because they do something very different, and as we talked about before, we like the different things. They're going to have a 125-point tournament where you have a 25 sideboard that actually going to allow you to look at your opponent's army list and then change 25 points. I'm a little bit interested in how they're going to solve this, because if you change that, I want to change that and stuff like that. But they probably have this all under wraps, and I just love that they do something special about it. It's not the standard, not the many things are like it should be, but
yeah, it's an experiment.
Yeah,
exactly. A little bit of a twist on it.
Yeah, definitely. And then there is a lot of talk all across Bohuslän, the western Sweden, that there will be tournaments coming fairly soon.
Perhaps we should also mention that the Linköping tournament is in mid-August.
Yeah, definitely.
For anyone who are interested in coming.
So if you live nearby Sweden, please come to Linköping and play that tournament.
Yeah.
And
Get into contact with us if you need any information about that. Just email dustwarjournals@gmail.com and you can get in touch.
And if I understood it correctly, it's Kalle who's the main organizer, so you can always find him on Facebook and stuff like that, or just shout loud, he will hear you and he will call back. So that's not a problem. And I'd just like to shout out myself to Lars here in Sweden. I hope it's true that the rumors I hear is that you're hosting a tournament, a summer eve tournament, because I would think you would do a great tournament, and it's been in the works, I know, for a long time, but it felt like you had something coming, so please make sure it is, because I want to play your tournament.
Make it happen.
Yes. I, for one, will be there.
No pressure, but make it happen.
Yeah. And we have actually planned a spontaneous thing in the Falcon here in Gothenburg on the 11th next month, the Wednesday. We try to get as many people as we can to play 200 armor points, only armor. So you can have whatever you want as long as it's in the armor category of the Enlist app. And that could also be something for...
Yeah, so we're talking vehicles here, so no infantry.
No,
or
nothing.
No aircraft as well?
Well, the main culprit of this should be Mats, and I think that was how we wanted it. So,
at least no infantry. This is going to be a mass vehicle battle, basically.
Definitely.
Possibly with aircraft.
Yeah. So that could be something to come to Gothenburg and play that if you want to.
That's very cool. We should also mention that we are actually, at least a few of us, are going to go demo on the con circuit here in Scandinavia.
Yeah!
So we have Warcon in Varberg. This summer we're also going to Helsinki in Finland.
Yes, Finland, the country where we want to be.
So if you want to go and say hi to us, we're going to be available there and demoing and playing Dust.
So Lexa, now you've heard it. We've said it on air. We have to come, and we're just waiting for this final reservation of our tickets. Dust War Journals, the Vikings will land in Helsinki, and we will give you all the support we can. I heard the rumor Marek and War Factory also will support, and the Commandos will support. So actually, there could be a great thing coming out of Helsinki in end of July.
Yeah. Really, really cool. So we still have a few audio clips to play from your trip to Warsaw, but we're going to stick them at the end of the show for people who are interested. So lots of interesting and fun discussions there, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
So, a big thank you from all of us here to you listeners out there for keeping us afloat, for keeping on listening and supporting us with all your questions and shares on Facebook and everything. And big thank you from me, Johannes.
And from me, Magnus.
Yeah, and of course from me, Loda.
Yeah. And until we hear from you next time, we will see you on the battlefield.
So my first game here at Warsaw tournament will be against Pavel, and he has this brilliant Endak army, a lot of artillery, observers, he has a Falke, a lot of Leopards, Hermans, and well, it seems like he has three of everything, and my Brits will really have to fight for it, but it's going to be a fun game. It's always fun playing Pavel, and when you look around in the table here at Warsaw, you see amazing armies and amazing tables. They've taken it another step this year, and it's very, very nice being here, I can tell you. And you should have been here because, this is where Dust is played in Warsaw. Let's try to disturb Pavel a little bit more and just ask him. Pavel, this is your third year now playing in the tournament, is it?
Yes, third or even fourth.
Oh, so you were with us the first time in the small locale. So, I'm sorry, my bad. But this is the first time you're playing Endak?
No, it's not first time. First I was playing with Marines. Now I decided to try NDAK.
Okay, so why the switch from Marines to NDAC then?
I was bored a little bit with Marines, and so I started to try fraction, which got everything. So it's better to have such a fraction which is easy to work with because of our, let's say, activities which we have today. So it's better to have something which you feel comfortable because of our activities today.
Yes, I totally agree. I won't pester you anymore. Now we're going to play the game and see what happens. So it's always great talking to you. So standing here with Sasha after the first round, he's still undefeated. No surprise there. Just a walk in the park for you, Sasha?
Yes, a little bit. No.
No, I have to fuck with you a little bit.
Joke.
No, I know. No problem there, Sasha. Actually,
it was a very good game, and Jonathan plays very well. Yes.
Yeah, Jonathan is extreme.
In the first 3 rounds, but it was a very close game, and after that, the advantage lies on my side.
Yeah. I heard something about your mortars being very successful.
No, the African lies.
Which one of them? The first, the second, the third, the seventh, what?
The last one.
Yeah, it's always the last one that's the best. Okay, so congratulations for your first win. I hope to see you later in the tournament.
Thank you, and I hope you will win again.
So I'm now the great pleasure of having Krzysztof with me here, the master painter and the painting tournaments administrator, the chief, the big chief. So how's the things going for you?
About the painting competition, we've got lots of interesting models here. I'm really impressing because of some very high customization, especially one of the infantry units, which is very interesting. In terms of the gaming, 1 win, 1 lose, not so bad. Especially that mostly I prefer rather to paint the models, and all my models you may find on my blog, dustbrothers.pl. But today we are playing together with colleagues from the whole Europe, with our friends from Sweden especially. So I'm really happy that we can celebrate the dust every year here in Warsaw with all the friends.
Yeah, and your blog is very good, so please take the name of your blog once more so the listeners really know where to spend their free time.
Okay, my blog is dustbrothers.pl. Also, I have a webpage on the Facebook called the same way, Dust Brothers Poland. And on my blog you may find my models, also a review of some of the dust models. For sure there will be the gallery and also review of this tournament with many of the photos. Honestly, that's something which I really like to do it. I would like to share my happiness of this because of this, I would say, because of this gaming and because of the lots of fun which is around this. And what I even didn't expect that because of the gaming I met so many very nice and very good and very happy and very friendly people around Europe, and that's very fantastic.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And every listener, check out that blog because it's a really good blog. And thank you and good luck in the tournament. Okay, so I've just had my third game here for the Dust War Journals. It was a super competitive game against John, who were playing Spetsnaz. And now, finally, I got my ass kicked. It was a severe ass kicking. So let's see what John thinks about the game we just played.
Yeah, for me it was very interesting. I'm really not very skilled or experienced player, so the game was very tough for me, and for the first time, I believe in the critical moments I didn't make any bad move or a mistake. So yeah, and I played against very skilled player too. So it was a great game for me.
Well, there must be in the other games you're talking about now with the other opponents. Okay, but it's if I understand it correctly, this is your first time in the European Championship. Is that right, John?
Yeah, this is my first time. I started playing Dust a few months ago, like half a year or maybe some months more. And yeah, this is my first time on such a big event.
Oh, great. And what should I ask you more about all this? Actually, so you won 3 games now, and you're heading for the top honors. Maybe a medal in there, or is that too much to ask for?
Yeah, maybe, but I'm very surprised by that. I expected a hard ass beating today, but yeah, it was surprising and very nice that I won 3 times now.
Yeah, well, we at the Dust War Journals wish you all the best, and we hope we will make a victory interview with you after the final game. But we will have to wait and see. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now I'm recording, Ben, because now you just sat down and you're almost done playing in Europe. You're heading back to the States in a few weeks. So what's your take on this Warsaw tournament?
Love the tournament, especially love the size of the maps. The bigger the map, the better, it seems like for me. Much more interesting than the 2-player maps and has much maneuverability and has a more dynamic gameplay. However, damage resilience once again has got me.
Yeah, but let's face it, the opposition in the US is much weaker, so now you train against the best here in Europe. You're going to just be a United States champion like that?
We'll have to see. Unfortunately, I missed the U.S. tournaments. As soon as I left for Europe, that's when the U.S. tournaments started taking off.
Well, yeah, and I shouldn't just talk you up too much because then you perhaps get banned in the U.S., so everyone fears you and nobody. But it's been great having you this year, and I sincerely hope you could come back any time in the future, or that we Europeans can come and play in the U.S. actually also. So, but how many tournaments was it you were visiting this trip?
I went to 3 tournaments, German Masters, Dust Nordic, and then, of course, Poland.
The 3 big ones. Yeah, great to hear. Anything that you feel is very different from Europe when it comes to the American scene, even though it's hard for you to say because the American scene is just exploding at the moment, so and wasn't so big perhaps when you left, but what do you say is the differences?
At least in the U.S., for my small community, we do not have a lot of Soldier 1 armies. We only have maybe 1 or 2 Soldier 1 armies. Most are Soldier 2, or they're zombies, or they're guerrillas, or they're something different.
Oh, splendid. Thank you very much, and all the best to you in the U.S. Oh, so here we are on the War Journals, and we just managed to grab hold of the 3rd place winner. For all the listeners, please tell your name so everyone knows how to pronounce it.
Filip Bramowicz.
Okay. This is your first year here in Warsaw, I think.
I started my journey with Dust 1 year ago in the event like this, in the good big tournament, yes.
Oh, you were here last year. Oh, sorry, I should have recognized it.
It was my first tournament.
Okay. Yeah, so this is second.
Yes, so I'm really glad.
Oh, yeah. And you two, the nemesis from yesterday, for me, you are friends?
Which one?
John.
John, yes.
Yeah. So you are a very competitive group of players?
Yes, we know each other. We're not a so close group, but we know each other. We play with Jan, I play first time.
Okay, so
yes,
because I've heard the rumors that the new Polish players, they think outside the box and they think different and they think new and they are more challenging.
Yes, it's a really wind of new ideas.
Oh yeah. And I'm so sad I couldn't play you, but hopefully next year then I can meet you in the first round.
I hope so
great. Anything else you want to say about the tournament itself?
Good organization, a lot of people. I am really glad. A lot of people, a lot of more than a year ago. I think 20 more. So it's really nice. Marek make a good job.
Yeah, he does. Is it any possibility we can lure you perhaps to Sweden in the years to come?
Maybe. I think about it.
Yeah, we make special prizes if you know you're coming.
Oh, nice. So I think about that harder. Now.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much for this talking.
Thank you.
So this is Dust War Journals on the European Championship, after it actually, and I have the great pleasure and the good fortune to share a couch now with the man himself, the big P, the big boss, the general, the overlord. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, the fat guy. I know.
Our own little deity, Paolo Parente, and I hope no one takes offense of that. Yeah, so nice to see you again, Paolo.
Well, it was wonderful to see you. We're missing some of the Vikings, but it was good to see the others and everybody else. I mean, this year the Polish got the podium. I think the three winners were all Polish.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was good. We had a great time as usual. The community is always the kindest community ever. There is fair play. Everybody's nice to each other. There are no fights, no discussions. It's just a wonderful community, right?
Definitely. It's a very good spirit in this community. I think we should start now. I'll go to the presentation from yesterday.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, because I tried to record it, and we've seen a lot of pictures online and stuff, but it feels like you could say so much more about all those beautiful models that you were showing.
Yeah, of course. Each model is a long story because preparing a model for tooling and making it in plastic is a lot of work. So I have very good engineers. They help me a lot. They're very patient. I have them do and redo and fix things. Luckily, the Japanese are coming out for Christmas this year, because if we had made them last year, they wouldn't look that good.
Ah, good. Another reason why it's so great that we had to wait a little bit.
I think so, because now I'm really proud of them. I really like every unit, especially the walkers. And they've been refined a couple of months ago. We changed a lot, we improved a lot, the details, the structures, the shape of weapons and things. The little details that maybe I can only really see, or maybe when you paint, then you will appreciate them.
Yeah.
The regular gamer who plays with the prime product maybe doesn't care, but for me they're very important, and they're all there.
Yeah, and that's so special. That's why I personally love the Dust models so much. That for some, for instance, the Sturmkönig and the Königsluthar, when you don't realize that you can actually pick off some parts of it, and it's detailed inside the walker. And if you open some of the walkers up, you find new parts. So if you remodel them, it's like, oh yeah, goody, I didn't even know this was there.
It's kind of sick, but at the same time, that's the fun, I don't really want to hide them. It's just that we need to put it together. And of course, if we leave a lot of loose parts, then it's hard for the player to find a bag of loose parts. They don't know what to do with them. But at the same time, modelers who buy the model kit version, well, they will have those loose parts, and they will inspire them some dioramas, put some mercenary mechanics on them, and so open the hatches, find the bullets, or find the engine.
Yes.
I love that part of the thing.
Yeah.
So that's the fun of my job.
Yeah, and this is not about me, of course, but another thing that's just why I enjoy this game so much is that it seems like you're always thinking about the player and the player's special needs. I mean, you're not the company that tries to prohibit us to do stuff. You embrace all the dustification, take whatever unit, just do it dusty-like, and it's okay, perhaps it's not always gets an official card, but it's embraced in the community, and I think that's why the community has such a good vibe, or such a good attitude, because it stems from the top of the company, or at least, I know a lot of people perhaps hasn't the best of views of the Dust studio, and there's been a few bumpy roads. For it's like 10 years now.
Yeah, this year we are celebrating the 10th anniversary. And this is so good. I mean, it feels wonderful.
Yeah.
It feels wonderful for many reasons. First, last night I said so already, but good to repeat.
Yes, please.
I've been working on many miniature games in my life, because miniatures are my passion. of course, my name is well known for card games, mostly. But I don't play those games because I'm in love with figurines, you might tell. And all those games I worked in the past didn't go through 10 years. They died of their natural death, or the company collapsed, whatever. But making a miniature game survive these days is very hard. But we made it. I mean, 10 years is a real milestone. Plus, we can celebrate another thing. The company is finally breaking even. It took us 10 years to do so. Oof. I mean, we were not breaking even in the times where we were distributed by FFG. Believe it or not, they bought big quantities, but they imposed us very, very low prices. So actually, we were losing money year after year because, of course, we had to do a lot of molds, a lot of toolings, and we had to do the multi-version kits and sometimes 3 sets of weapons. That's a lot of cost in those tools that we never recovered. Then, of course, there was the big mistake we made choosing another distribution company. But the biggest mistake was actually since the beginning. We didn't have faith in our strength. We thought that we needed somebody bigger, already established, to make a better marketing than we could do by ourselves. They could, we thought, those are channels they have, it would be bright and brilliant. In the end, it was not, since the beginning. After the Kickstarter, everything went together with it. 3 years ago, we became independent. We decided to keep going. It was tough, of course, because there was a lot of damage to our name, to our image. We lost a lot of players for understandable reasons. What happened is that our boss, William, decided to shift 70% of our energy to manufacture for other games, for the companies, and just keep Dust alive with the little resources. That allowed the company to start making money.
Yeah. You were doing X-Wing and stuff like that?
We still do X-Wing. We do a lot of
Conan Barbarian?
Conan from on it. We're working on their Batman. We've done many Simon games. That allowed us to pay off all our debts, and it was a lot.
Okay.
It took 3 years.
Okay.
And then finance a little bit Dust. And this year, actually, Dust is financially independent, finally. And that is very good. That's very good.
Yeah, that makes it a bright future then.
Yeah, then we can start talking and do things. And, the community is growing. That is very good. The community is growing. Marek started this crazy adventure a few years ago, trying to distribute Dust in Europe, and he started in the darkest period of our life. He's very brave. He works hard, and we see the results. Almost 60 players this weekend for this tournament. It's the biggest event we ever had. He's distributing in whole Europe. We have Alicia and Gregoire in the United States. We started working with them. This will be the 3rd year, and they're doing a great job.
Yeah, it seems like you managed to pick just the right characters of people. I would like to say that the first time I played Marek in Belgium for, God knows how long time it was, but instantly I took a liking to the guy, and I just felt like this is a straight shooter, a good guy, and he knows the game, he knows the community. So when he was given the chance, it was like a victory for all players, at least in my view, because I feel, I shouldn't talk too well about him because I'm still buying from him, so I have to have some distance to him. But I mean, no, but you know that he will treat the players right. He knows what the player wants, and he will listen in a good way. And it seems to be, I haven't had the good fortune to meet Greg or his wife in the US, but
the way they are working and the way the community is exploding in the US, it seems like they are really the right persons to.
They are. They're a great couple. I knew Gregoire from the time at Rackham. He was in charge of marketing then. Then he moved to the States because he married Alicia. And then 3 years ago, I told him, you know what, Gregoire, I think we should do Dust USA and try to, step into this market in the right way. And he accepted the challenge. And Alicia joined immediately the company. She's actually the president of the company. She's our director. Director, we call her. Director, Alicia. Alicia is a power of nature. She has a real job.
The rumor is that she is the real boss. I mean,
no, she's the boss.
Oh, yeah.
No, she's not a rumor. She's the boss.
She has the boss. Oh, sorry, Alicia.
She's a very solid lady.
Okay, good.
She has a real job, and she finds the energy to manage her real job during the day, and then dedicate a lot of time to Dust. Of course, Gregoire works a lot as well. But yeah. She's in charge of all the conventions and everything. She managed to build a beautiful looking booth with structures and things that can adapt to any size of booth. And it's so clever. And I mean, plus she's very kind to people. She's very good with talking to people, even, lady players, families. She's really helping to expand the community. And in a very smart way. Wrongly, Oliver and I thought that this was mostly a game for adults.
Yeah.
Grown-ups, because of World War II, etc. But she was right when she told us, but your game is accessible enough to actually be played by teenagers or kids, and they can play with their parents, etc. And she started working on that side of the business, and she's successful. She's very successful. Gregoire is a genius in marketing. Of course, both are very good looking, and they have these beautiful Hollywood smiles. And so, they introduce themselves. You're already pleased, good-looking person, very polite. And Gregoire really can sell product very well. When he gives you a demo, you fall in love with the game straight away. And then he lets you play with a starter set. And then he tells you, you just played with the content of this box. And they go pick it. And then you might want to use this unit. This is the command squad. It's very useful in the game. So he has the ability to really capture the new player, involve them in the game, and advise them wisely which units to buy and to have an efficient army and have more fun. But it's all about a big wide smile, a nice attitude, and good advice, and fun. Fun obviously is the key word of Dust.
Yes.
Right? That's why I embrace the Dustification. I created Dustification anyway. Yes. But it's because I want to have fun as much as you guys do, and I want you guys as much fun as I have. So we need to be open and go fun first. Consider that first.
Yeah,
business will come after. It's okay. And it says so. I mean, 3 years of independence, 10 years of history, and we're making it.
Yes.
It's very good. Feels so good.
And it really shines through, even though you're here marketing yourself. I mean, I had the pleasure to play you in the tournament today.
It was a mutual pleasure.
Yeah, it was
very fun.
So, but you could feel like, I could understand if you were like, oh yeah, now it's another game, and it's just, I'm doing another convention. But the way you handle yourself, at least made me feel like it was fun for you too, which is better. So, well, okay, good.
It was good. It was a great pleasure. I admire you as a gamer and as a person, and like you, all the Vikings are really nice. I like your group a lot. And then, I play. I'm not a good player. I don't really, because I played so much the V1, the oldest version, that some of the rules are still stuck in my head, and they don't want to go away. And the new rules, some I don't. I would block line of sight with my troops, as it happened today.
Yes.
I cannot shoot through my troops. I find it blasphemy.
Yeah, yes.
But I understand why. I had a discussion with Oliver earlier. He explained me, what happens when you have just one guy? He blocks line of sight? I said, no, I cannot. So how do we manage a rule that is simple to remember? And I agree, that's the way. So make it short. Still, I don't know the game so deeply, but my spirit is, anyway, I'm not a competitive player, so my spirit is to go and just get the challenge, have fun, make a lot of noises. I didn't make many, but normally I go when I shoot rockets and stuff, and but yeah, it's Oliver is coming. He's doing like a funny dance.
Yes.
Luckily, this is not a camera. Luckily for him.
Yes.
But yeah, this is my spirit. I look for the fun first. That I have a good time, and that's for me. Then competitive players have a brilliant game that Oliver gave us that is very good for competitive players as well. And that's it.
Yeah.
They can have their competitive games, absolutely.
We had some immense news now. I'm not going to tell you exactly what. I want to hold you on the leash. But Paolo has actually just made us a little gift that we will be giving away in a competition for the War Journals. More news on that in next War Journals. But I tell you, if you ever wanted a prize, it's this prize. I've seen it firsthand. You want to go in this competition, I promise you.
Yeah, I agree. Also, as we say in France, I am agree.
Yeah. Yes. So sometimes you're lucky, not only to speak to you, but also for other stuff. But and of course, it was Olivier who is hopefully joining us a little bit later. But that's also a character. I mean, you could go probably through all your company, but and perhaps I've said this too many times online or offline, I don't know, but sometimes I get the feeling that when people hasn't met Oliver, they have strong ideas about the rules and about his character and about stuff like that. But what's so funny is every time when someone meets him, it's like every problem they had with rules or anything else, it melts away. So there's also something you seem to be picking. Of course, now you knew each other from way back, but just key personalities to the studio.
Yeah. I'm also very lucky. I mean, I met Oliver during the time of Rackham. Actually, I met Oliver when I met Rackham for the first time.
Okay.
We were on a convention in Paris, and I was there invited by Wizard of the Coast as a guest for Magic the Gathering. And what happened is that one of the guys from Wizard of the Coast, that's Livio, just told me, "Oh, I know you like figurines." I go, "Yeah. There's a new French company. They're friends of mine. I want to introduce, can I take you to their booth?" Okay, because, you always think you know everything about the things you like. I had no idea. So I went there, I go, oh, because there was like walls of blister with all these cool figurines, great, the Confrontation, first edition, and then introduced me to Oliver, who was wearing a suit. So I decided that he was the owner of the company. And then he introduced me. You know how Oliver is. He's very good at talking and presenting things. And he's so noble in his gestures and attitude. So I was really persuaded he was the boss. The other guys working there were much younger and, skinny. Hello, skinny little things. So, and he was the one doing the talking. So I assumed he was the boss. And then he showed me the models and everything, and then finally introduced me to the owner, the boss. And we became acquainted during that show, and in the end I ended up doing freelance work for them. Until then I moved on we went to Paris and worked on 1843. But yeah, that was very lucky. That was very lucky. So when Oliver left Rackham a few years later, I kept working with the company. But then, we all know the sad story of the wonderful company. But I kept in touch with him even after he left, because we were very good friends. And when it was time to start developing Dust, that happened actually 12 years ago, I called Oliver and said, Oliver, can you help me with this? I mean, I would like to have a game this and this and this way. And he said, I think this could be a good game. And I told him, I don't want to have discussions. I've been wargaming for like 30 years. I don't want to have those stupid discussions anymore. Help me solve this. Let's talk about moving through squares and having line of sight that are not, debatable. Let's not waste our time with those things, because I spend my nights wargaming, not going beyond turn one, because no, you don't see me, I see you, blah, 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 all the stupid stuff that I don't hear anymore. So he's not only a great guy, he's a great game designer, and he gave us what is, for me, the best miniature game ever. Because it's a miniature game, okay, it looks a bit like a board game because we have squares, but go beyond that. Be open-minded. That is a tool to avoid wasting your time and energy in stupid discussions. You play, you have fun, you move your minis, they become alive on the battlefield, and it's very much cinematic. You have heroes being real heroes, surviving impossible odds, making impossible actions. It's so good. I love it. And it's not just because we're making business out of it, because I told you, it took us 10 years to just be able to pay our salaries. So there is no business there. We are not businessmen. We are gamers who wanted to have a game that is good, with good models, and share with the others, share with the other gamers. That's our spirit. And Oliver is a wonderful game designer. He made a miracle. I honestly think so.
Yeah, you can see that a lot of games seems to be trying to ride on the Dust wave, so to speak. You see things that you have in Dust, it comes in other games as well. And
That's also a nice compliment, right?
Yeah.
We take it as a compliment.
Yeah, of course it is.
They copy. No, there is no copying in the industry. Everyone inspires everybody else.
Yeah.
It's the way it is in art, in design, in games, whatever it is. But it's a nice compliment. And, now Games Workshop just released Necromunda, new edition. Finally, they have alternate activations.
Yeah.
It took them 30 years to go there.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, we didn't create alternate activation, but I think that's the way to go if you want to have a game that is fun and not like, I play and then you play whatever is left. Because that's what it is when it's not.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I mean, it's good. But yeah, I'm lucky. I've been lucky all my life in my career, but I have this luck to meet the good people, Oliver, Alicia, Gregoire, Marek. Let's not forget William, my business partner and our boss, because that is also a lucky find, absolutely by pure chance. And but without him, no Dust.
Yeah, I understand that. Could you expand perhaps just a quick word on that? Because, it's really hard to fathom that it's not your company. I mean, you're not the boss. You must be the boss.
No, I'm the dog of the boss. I go back.
Was this like, were you out on a pub crawl one late night and you, like Han Solo won the Millennium Falcon, he played it off you in a Skabac or
it's
Chinese?
It's kind of that. I will make it short. It's a nice story. It's a very nice and romantic story. I used to work as a teacher, and then I ended up directing a very famous design academy in Milan. When I was like 30, 31, I was the boss, the owner of the academy, asked me to become the director. I said yes, of course. It meant bigger salary and bigger headaches as well. And then he sent me out giving lectures in universities, academies around the world. It came the time I went to the Hong Kong Polytechnic for a lecture, and then the day after we were going to move to Shanghai University to give another lecture. But I was in Hong Kong that night, and that was like, let's say, 20 years ago. The Hong Kong art toys were booming. I was in Hong Kong. I said, can we go get some art toys and check, shops for art toys, etc. So a gentleman from the Polytechnic drove me around and showed me places, and I bought some stuff, and then I bought some 12 inches action figures, etc. And then the guy told me, seeing what I was buying, you're interested in this? Yeah, very much. It's my hobby. And he goes, tomorrow we go fly to Shanghai, and actually I know a guy in Shanghai who makes this type of toys. Do you want to have dinner with him? I said, I'm tired, jet lag, lectures, the tension, because you have to concentrate a lot. I'm not good at that. And then I said, okay, let's do it. And that was William. So we went to Shanghai, I met William. He was in Shanghai at that time. He's from Hong Kong. And then next time I visited Asia, I passed by Hong Kong. We exchanged emails and said, I'm coming to Hong Kong, do you have time? We, do a little chat about our toys and stuff. He said yes. So every time I visit Asia, in the few years later, I would see him, and we became good friends. And then he came out to his manufacturing plastic for this and that, and we know each other more and more. And one night, he asked me, Paolo, because he knew, by the time he knew I was doing magic and stuff, I had a name, or a little bit of a name, and he said, but don't you have like a project we could make toys with? I said, actually, yes, I have a project that I've been developing for 5 years already. It's only in my drawers. You want to see it? I said, yeah, I would like to see it. What's the name? Dust. We make it. I said, Ma? What do you mean? Yeah. He goes, dust. It sounds like dot, that in Cantonese means can be. So it's a lucky name. We do it. Done. So we started doing action figures for Dust, and then those were presented by one page of comic book in a Hong Kong magazine that was called Milk. Then a US distributor said, but why don't you just combine the pages and make a comic book out of it? And then we go to San Diego Comic Con, we have a booth, and we said, yeah, we should do that. And we did the first series of comic books that did okay, and we started the company. So since I was making all the work, but he was investing all of the money we needed we shared the company, not really 50-50, so he's the major shareholder, and he's the boss.
Okay.
And I'm the dog of the boss.
Okay.
And I'm the dog of the dog.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm the dog who's a pet.
Well, you have to have layers, of course, of everything, and we're so happy for it. So, we're joined now by Olivier as well. Always great to see the wizard himself. If it's okay to go with Nick of Oz.
The great wizard.
Okay, it has to be the great wizard, of course.
Hello, everyone.
I'll move the mic a little bit, so hopefully the sounds will be even better, so everyone is in. Perhaps we haven't talked about the most important thing, though. Even though this is even more important, but I guess the listeners out there might just want to hear about the presentation again, all the new stuff, all the fun, everything you promised you will tell us now. That all
Well, I mean, as I said before, finally we have the Japanese coming out for Christmas. It's really happening. The tools are being made now. that is on perfect time to manufacture and ship and have the goods delivered to our distributors in early November. Oliver is done all the work on all the units that will come out for Christmas. They're approved by all these play testers and stuff. It will be a fun army, of course. We will have this big release for Christmas. I call it a fat release. So starter set, more ninjas outside the starter set, but the same unit, more walkers with more variants, and then the Ryu, the heavier walker, with 2 variants, and the cadets. There is enough to start playing the block right away. And I said block because Oliver can explain how the Imperial Japanese Navy will declare its independence from the Axis, and so these cards will have a different color, their own logo, and there will be a block.
You want to pick up there, Oliver?
Yeah, basically the story is that a group of Japanese officers in the 20s, if I recall, got tired of the emperor back then, and these are the descendants of these guys, and basically they're not happy with the emperor being a puppet of Berlin. And they say, no, we have to put back a real emperor in Japan. And so basically what happened is that the Navy completely break ties with Japan. So the army in Manchuria and in China is still under Axis control, but the Navy breaks off and decides to fight its own war into the Pacific and elsewhere. So at first, fighting between the Axis and the Japanese Navy is rare, but it picks up, and they're still fighting in the Kuril Island, northern Japan, against the SSU, of course, against the Allies in the Pacific, and everywhere else on the planet, basically.
But then I have to ask you, they have to have a new ruler then for that fraction. I mean, it's the new shogun, they have their own feudal lord, something, because...
We have no shortage of admirals who want to be emperor.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. They are de facto immense military powers under their control. And so the Admiralty has completely broken off. And I mean, the Japanese army is huge, but is now in 1947 nothing compared to the size of the Navy. Mm-hmm. And so the Navy controls huge territories in Australia, in the Philippines, in all Southeast Asia. They have huge land masses that they can draw resources from, and of course they have a gigantic fleet that is very modern, that has been upgunned, and that is very, very technologically advanced. They have the sister ship of the Kraken that is in Babylon. There's a Japanese, the I-501, which is exactly the same, because they build two together. So they have a lot of the new tech that even some Axis units don't have access to yet. So basically when they break off, they're really not behind by any means.
Yeah, I guess we will also learn more about this when we read all your short stories in the upcoming expansion of Hellgate.
No. This is for later. Okay. Hellgate is not about this yet. Hellgate, properly introduces the mythos, the Desert Scorpions. There's a big part on the PLA as well. But basically Hellgate is the final chapter that started with Babylon. And I'm not going to give you too much spoilers about this, because this is quite interesting.
Yeah, keep it secret.
Exactly.
We want to keep guessing.
But it launches a lot of things. It changes a lot of things for the world of Dust. And but the story, the proper story of the IGN will come later. Just later, but later. Now we have to finish the chapter of the history of the world of Dust that started with Babylon, and then Condor, and now Hellgate.
Okay, good. But if I understood Paolo's presentation correctly yesterday, it will be you who writes the stories in the Hellgate expansion.
I'm writing everything in this book, this damn book.
A good thing you're a journalist then by trade, if I understood it correctly.
Yes. No, but this has nothing to do with journalism. This is a slow, very painful process of writing. That every word it has to come out, and I'm lucky that I have very good rewriters that make them that readable and enjoyable for the readers. But I'm pretty pleased with. They're great. Yeah,
Being humble, they're great.
The stories are good. The operation is good, and I think we have improved the quality of the expansions. And I was very happy with Condor. Everything is perfectible, but I think it was a very good job. But Hellgate is way better. I think it is better. And I think we have achieved some kind of a pinnacle of what we can do with the team we have. Mm-hmm. And I think that people will be very, very pleased with Hellgate. And then it will be a challenge to keep up this level of because I've been working my ass off on short stories, but Paolo has done some crazy pictures, and we have some crazy drawings, and we have a lot of amazing stuff that people haven't seen from us for a while, and then it's an amazing team effort.
Well, then we sincerely look forward to that, because as you know, I know you listen to our podcast, and you know that we rated Condor in the top 3 of the releases last year.
That. I was very pleased.
Yeah, and the pictures especially, and all the stuff around it was just so immense, and we loved the stories. We loved the montage when the German with the laser rifle, the Rocket Man, when he was facing off against. The Russian hero Winterchild, sorry. It's the heat, and it's the long excitement of just being here with you guys and hearing you talk about this beautiful subject that is dust. It makes me a little bit forgetfulness. Well, that picture alone could have bought the book for me, and now you say it's even better, it's even more.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think it's way better.
Actually, we're releasing it later than we thought, because we still have to create a lot of images for it. We wanted to release it for Gen Con like we did last year with Condor. It's impossible. He's ready. I'm not ready with the images.
Oh, no, I'm not.
But you're more ready than me, and you're readier, whatever it is. But yeah, I hope we can make it for Christmas. The goal is not just to release. The goal is to release the best possible product.
Something that we're proud of, and that we know people will love. Yeah. And even if we only do, I know people want more, but let's do one a year. But that is awesome. Yeah, that is awesome, and that people really like.
Yeah, I haven't played the Condor scenarios enough already. I mean, I can play them for a few months more. I'm not tired of the scenario in the Condor book yet, so it still has things to offer me, at least as a player. Perhaps I should play more. I don't know why I don't. So for me, it sounds really sound.
And without giving too much away, we can say that Hellgate launches the next 3 years. Of the world of Dust. So it introduces what people are going to spend a few years playing in and experiencing. So it needs to be done right, because otherwise we're going to have to live with these for a long time. So it needs to be done right. And but yeah, we have many more stories to tell for sure.
Well, okay, so I'll go back to the presentation, and I'll just pick up on 2 other points that I had on my mind yesterday. There are a gazillion things I want to ask, but at least first off, it's the railgun thing. Could we perhaps just get a little taste of how it will work in the game? Not exactly, but just a little taste. And is it, since the Japanese have lasers, will there be Germans having railguns, or is it just that special Merc unit that you showed that will have railgun?
Okay, do you want to go, or?
The railgun is for the Japanese. Then the mercenaries stole one. That's the one. We think about that unit as a unique unit in play. So you can only field one. The mercenaries, otherwise the railgun is for the Japanese. In the past, of course, the Axis was united, and the Germans will share technology with the Japanese. I don't think the Japanese will share their technology with the Germans at all. Maybe not even with the Japanese army, but we'll see. That's in the end of Oliver. He's in charge of the continuity of the universe. The way it works, I don't know. He knows.
We are bringing something very old school back, which is the unlimited range. So railgun basically shoots wherever he wants on the table. The fact, so the railgun projectile doesn't have any explosives. It doesn't need to, because it's so fast that it basically almost destroys everything it hits. So the railgun shots will ignore cover. And when you roll, and these are extremely potent against vehicles, so when you hit, you will roll 3 dice for critical hits and have a critical hits on 2 as usual. But you have more chance to make a critical hit with a railgun. That's basically how it works.
Oh, good.
And of course, there's the damage, but this is a bit too technical. But it's a very powerful weapon. It's a very expensive weapon, and you will have that reflected in the army point cost, of course, because these are powerful, difficult to maintain and to build, and powerful. So therefore, pretty high cost in army point value. It's not an elite army, but it's an army on the expensive side of the spectrum, for sure. It's not a cheap. I mean, in 1947, there's been a lot of manpower lost by Japan in the Pacific. The war has been very bloody, so the men that are left are extremely seasoned veterans that have been fighting for a long time and that are very good troops. And of course, you've seen the ninjas. These are no jokes, and they have I want to keep the surprise on the ninjas, but they do ninja stuff.
Okay, good.
They do ninja stuff, and they appear from nowhere to kill you without you noticing them, and they do ninja stuff.
I just want to add on the ninjas as well that I love the renders and the sculpts we saw on because I thought they looked old, so they could be 1947, but they also looked new, I think. So I think a lot of other gamers, for instance, the Netrunner gamers and stuff like that, probably will buy the ninjas and use in their games. So I feel that they seem to be really smart how they've been put together. Perhaps it's just the ninjas always look the same all through the ages, but.
Oh no, they don't look like traditional ninjas. They look like ninjas from 1947. They have different uniform than traditional ninjas. I didn't want to do traditional ninjas because you can find them in so many other ranges. And then, of course, I decided to have ninja ladies and the outfits that could look good on them.
Yeah, definitely.
Then Gael Gaumont is the sculptor, and he did a brilliant job. I can say these are among the best-looking minis we have shown so far. And again, there will be bodies made in very hard PVC and all the weapons in hard plastic. So the blades of the katanas, I don't think the ninja sword is called the katana.
Yeah, that's true.
They will not be bending, but they will be fragile anyway. But anyway, no bending weapons, it's already a good improvement. Nothing compared, of course, to the Scorpion troops that are all in hard plastic. And it's a step further in our technicalities, in the molding, engineering. And, I'm very proud of those as well. The poses are very good. They're all in action. They're charging. They're going to battle, and they look as detailed as our PVC figurines, being completely hard plastic. So, actually, some of the heads will be in resin because we wanted to keep having nicely detailed heads and faces, and with hard plastic you're forced to simplify a lot, and then they don't look good anymore. I mean, you can understand if you compare to GW, Cadian, the Stokes, they have a big round helmet, and then you only see the face, but there are no ears, nothing. Because when you do like things like ears in our plastic, they can only be two little wings on the side of the head, and there is nothing behind, and facial expressions are not that easy. Beret with the insignia on the side are impossible because they don't go out of the mold, etc. So when we had like all these nice heads for the French Foreign Legion, the Australians, we tried them in our plastic, and we said, oh no, this is not us. This does not look like us. This is something else. And all their heads will be in resin besides the beret. The beret will be in the sprue, which figurine, and then we provide the little resin set with the good-looking heads.
Okay, so you have a head with a beret. And it's not like you can just pick off a beret and put on. That would be too detailed. Well, I have one question. It's not about the presentation, but some sort of the presentation. I know with all the massive new wonderful stuff you're putting out, I understand why this has been perhaps put on a back burner. But a few years ago, there were talks about an upgrade kit for cards for upgrades for vehicles, like the floating pillows for the walkers and extra machine guns or stuff like that. So you could perhaps even customize even your. And we talked about earlier the dustification stuff like that. Yeah. Sorry. Is there any light in the tunnel on this project, or is that perhaps a few years?
Yes and no. Yes and no, because basically. We realized that since we need to print a new card, then just print a new card with the new unit on it.
Mm-hmm. It's easier.
Yes. No, it makes everyone's life easier. There are still a few things that I think about and that will come out for sure. But I mean, it's. We already have a game with many variants and many units, and I mean, it's not a priority. It's something, of course, that is in my mind, but we have obviously, something else. I know it doesn't sound nice, but we have more important things to worry about at the moment than this. I still want to have a vodka card for 1 army point that remove all suppression.
Yeah.
I still want to have a extra Panzerfaust card for 2 army points that give you 3 Panzerfaust for 1 turn. These things are still on my mind, of course, but they will happen when they happen. Yeah. And as soon as we can fit we have a little room in the schedule and fit these. Yeah, of course, they will happen, and definitely in my mind for. I mean, the Polish tournament, we can have a vodka card. For the Swedish tournament, we can have an aquavit card.
Yeah, yes.
For the tournaments in the US, we can have a moonshine card. That have all the same game effect, but a different name, and that's important. That's what matters. That everyone gets his booze to remove suppression tokens. That's important.
I totally agree. And even as a veggie guy, I love, the rule for when you eat the cows. That's one of my favorite rules of all game. Because it's just so, you don't expect that. And it's just so, and it's a fun effect and stuff. So I love, please keep on doing it and just stick them in there when you can, because that keeps, I think, the community fresh and appreciated. So
and you can get an achievement if you manage to collect all the booze cards by attending all the worldwide tournaments. That's a special card for you. drunken master.
Yeah. The real challenge here is not to focus on those, is to make the real happen for Christmas 2018. So that's when Oliver mentioned there are more important things to do, is because we are really working hard to make that happen. It might not happen if there is a problem, but I think we're looking good. For the moment, we're looking very good, and it should really happen. So we're going to have a new block also next year, with the FAT release, start to say it, infantries and vehicles. And I will not tell you much more. I don't think I should, because we still have to work a lot on them. I'm getting help from other designers who can do good help with that. They will look pulp. They will fit perfectly in the world of dust. That's for sure. They will not be too high tech. They will be just the perfect fit. I can foresee that. But that's a lot of work. So our focus is right after finishing Elgate, just dive into the rail, finish the job, start the tools, and release them for Christmas 2019.
Yeah, that's really special. We're so glad to hear it.
I didn't show anything last night because of this, because it's too early. Things might change for so many reasons, but they're developing. They're developing in the good direction, and they will also be very funny to play. They will be good army to play, absolutely.
Yep.
We're working on a way of play that is different from the human armies. You know, it's important. Every block, every army we develop plays differently, or as differently as possible. When you talk about human armies with the Vril, we can really do that. They come back with superior technology.
They don't have walkers.
The walkers
is a thing from the past for them.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's old technology for them. Like, fuck the walkers. Who cares? You know, that was old technology we found. We learned, but no, they come with better stuff.
Okay.
Better stuff, better weapons. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt you guys now that you're talking.
Oh, that's all we can reveal, because then, you know, we cannot show anything. We don't want to show anything. But yeah, no, they will be interesting in many ways.
And I have to ask you one thing about the Japanese walkers, because I asked, I think both of you, when I arrived, when I saw the beautiful walkers you had in the booth up there, in the venue, but I remember, and I didn't have the mic then, so that's why I'm asking you again. When you showed us the render the first time, it was actually a boat shell around the walkers, so you took off the boat shell when they came to shore. Did I understand it correctly that will happen also, or?
That's been postponed. The files are done, of course. Those parts fill up more than a tool. And with the price of a tool today, and with the limited budget I have for tools, I decided unilaterally. No, he advised me well also that is a waste of money. You can make a playable unit with that investment instead of just a gadget that looks amazingly cool. I totally agree, but needs to wait.
Okay.
Also, we are learning more and more about how to exploit the new technology and the 3D printing. We are going to launch, and I didn't show last night, but we're going to launch a paint on demand or a print on demand line that doesn't mean you ask whatever you want and we make it, because that's impossible to manage, but we will propose items that you can order, and then we make them for you within a collection of items. And that flotation device for the Japanese walker, I think, fits perfectly that line. You want it, we print it for you, we polish it for you, and you want it premium, we give you premium, you want it prime, we give you prime. They're just two pieces that plug into the body. They will come with a card to make it amphibious and whatever, but it's I think it's more than a gadget, than a real playing piece.
Yeah.
And they want to focus the investments on the playing pieces.
Definitely.
There will be more resin figures also for this. Tools are too expensive for units that cannot be sold in big numbers, but they're still fun and very dust. So those will come in resin. Well, like today we have all the mercenary machine guns. The figures are resin. The mechanics are in resin most of the time. So they're just more fragile. Treat them gently, and there will be more of that. We will focus the investments on the important units, the gaming units, and the fun stuff that we cannot avoid making, because this is the fun part of our work. It will be for now resin or 3D print, but nice 3D print. I mean, I don't mean the shitty in-house 3D print.
No, but that seems also a very good way to go. That I understand the majority perhaps don't want the boats on their walkers, but there will be a few people. I don't think I should name them in the community, but I can see people in different countries. You go ape shit and buy them and pay extra. So it's wonderful if one can have that possibility too.
Yeah, it will be possible.
But of course, it's not important for the big line for the for the game.
I rather invest that amount of money into extra weapons. That's I think the priority.
Yeah, of course it is. Okay, guys. Well, I could sit here for hours. I still have.
I can't. He's so nice.
Yeah, but we have to leave something for the next show, and poor Magnus and Johannes won't be able to say anything. I think if it's not going to be 4 hours long, this show. So fingers crossed. I've done everything correct this time with the mic. And I will try to bring it later in the evening. Perhaps if I remember something, we can do a follow-up and stuff. Yeah, good. And I can't thank you both enough.
Thank you.
It's a fucking
I
honor.
think the community, the growing community, is very good. It is very warm.
Bye-bye, guys. Happy gaming.
See you on the battlefield.
Thank you for listening to Dust War Journals. You can find us at dustwarjournals.com or on social media at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dust War Journals. And you can find our Patreon page at patreon.com/dustwarjournals. All music used in this podcast is made by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com.